30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The idea about eating a bowl of Skyline chili, pie eating contest style with like your hands behind your back, that is just going to be an awful look. And that's going to live on the internet for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I'm kind of hoping I lose. And you know when a baby eats spaghetti and the spaghetti sauce gets all over it? I'm just picturing that.
Kids just like eat naked mostly for like the first several years of their life.
I have all these pictures of my two girls when they were young. It looks like they were just like bleeding from everywhere. It was just tomato sauce over their entire upper half.
It looks like a horror show.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. New morning show right here on CBS Sports Radio. A lot to get to from last night, Perloff, and...
Oh, you mean the Connor Bedard goal?
Yeah.
Or
yes. I was only talking about the Connor Bedard goal, not anything that had to do with your Philadelphia Phillies. But we will get to that a little bit later on. You had LeBron James on the court losing last night to the Denver Nuggets and all that preseason trash talk. I'm not sure why they couldn't back that up. But anyway, we'll get all that. But we have to start with this story that continues to evolve. And this is what happens when you have these scandal stories, whether it's a big scandal or a little scandal, you usually get a drip, drip, drip of information. And that's exactly what's going on with Michigan right now in this sign stealing scandal. Now, is it Watergate? Definitely not. However, you are still getting now video evidence. This is the latest of this former Marine captain who was working for Michigan, who was going to future Michigan opponents to sit on the 45-yard line, get the signs of the opposing team, and now we have video evidence of him on the sideline, and he clearly has like laminated pictures, and he's sending the signals to the rest of the team. Like he's integral in what was going on the Michigan sideline.
First of all, say his name.
Connor Stallions.
You have to say, any chance you get to say Connor Stallions. There's two things that are huge here. One is there's video, which is always takes any kind of scandal to a next level. If we had video of the deflator doing something, it would have just been amazing.
I know.
The second thing is when you laminate something, that's serious.
Yes.
Like that's just saying like this is on.
You're in the office.
Yeah.
No one has a laminator at home. I don't know anyone who does.
You have to go to FedEx or Kinko's and get it laminated. Once something is laminated, then it's real.
You're right.
This is like all scandals, there's amazing details about this story. I think that's why it's so fascinating. But here's the real question. How serious is this? And I love reading everything about this, fascinated with it. But I'm of the camp, let's not get ahead of ourselves and say, oh, all of a sudden Michigan's dream season is in peril or Jim Harbaugh is going to get in big trouble because it has to be relatively minor. You're telling me every team isn't sending some form of advanced scouting? And the fact that sign stealing is not illegal is a big factor here. So while it is unbelievably fascinating, I'm not sure the level of seriousness of here, but I think there's a real debate there.
Okay. I think that now, again, you're right about the the salacious details that are coming out are kind of like gossip worthy and all that.
Yeah.
This could be a big problem for Jim Harbaugh. And I think it will be because that's the last question now that needs to be answered in this investigation. Did Jim Harbaugh know? Now, he put out a statement. I know. He put out a statement last week that said he had no knowledge. He wasn't involved. But now we're seeing video on the sideline, the laminated sheet, smoking gun. And also, how was this guy, unless he's independently had a side hustle, how is somebody who's making $55,000 able to afford all of these tickets to all of these games? Like, $55,000 is a fine salary. It's not about that. But can you afford to go to multiple Big Ten and SEC games and sit at the 45-yard line? if that's your income. That would be difficult.
We know that's not
Plus,
true.
flying to the games and staying at hotels, like, it's expensive to go to games.
One thing to note, if you haven't seen the video, Connor Stallions is within feet of Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, he's right there.
He's right there.
Yes.
So
he's on the staff. So
yeah, I think Jim Harbaugh knew, but this is a sport filled with lies in the sense that every coach lies.
Okay, but here's the thing. So even if Jim Harbaugh somehow could say he didn't know, right? Totally oblivious. How did this guy get to all these Big Ten games? How to get paid for? Let's just say he really doesn't know. Then the question is, should he have known?
Okay.
See, that's always the second follow-up with college coaches, whether it's basketball or football or any sport. It's not did you is one part of it, and then if you didn't, should you have? Like Pat Fitzgerald with the hazing situation at Northwestern. So I think either way Harbaugh's screwed here. So he already got dinged once for lying to the NCAA. It was about something stupid, which was recruiting during a dark period during COVID. He did a self-imposed 3-game ban. But again, do we have Harbaugh lying again? Even if it's about something small, Brady lied about Deflategate and got a 4-game suspension. Like, lying about it always makes it worse. And so for Harbaugh, I think he is absolutely looking at some kind of penalty here. From anything from suspended to getting fired.
Getting fired?
You can't lie.
From Michigan?
You cannot lie like this.
Oh, first of all, you can. And second of all, they all do. And third of all, by the way, that Pat Fitzgerald Northwestern thing is not simple. The should have known argument is a lot thinner than I think. We're talking about people under contract should have known. What does that mean?
Well, this isn't a court of, this is not a real court. This would be court of public opinion.
Yeah, the court of public opinion, that's where Michigan's going to get killed. The actual real life ramifications to me are not going to be there. First of all, you know that they're not going to suspend it. You said it yourself yesterday. This penalty is going to come in 2027.
Well, yeah. I mean, Harbaugh will be the head coach of the Bears by then, but sure.
Because there's so much riding on Michigan season right now. Obviously, many people point out the network partners would have a complete hissy fit if they suspended Michigan or they took them out of the Big Ten title game.
No, but they could suspend Harbaugh and you still get Michigan.
They're not going to suspend Jim Harbaugh this season. The NCAA is so toothless right now because the NCAA is making up for decades of lying and being totally unethical themselves. So the courts have just smacked down the NCAA at every turn. They're afraid to do anything because they're afraid that the Congress and the courts is going to put them out of business.
Sure.
So they don't do anything anymore. There's no way they're going to touch Harbaugh. Big Ten's not going to touch Harbaugh because they're making a lot of money off of Michigan being elite, and Michigan itself is not going to self-impose a ban on Jim Harbaugh.
Well, not now. I mean, they just did it for the beginning of the season when they were playing nobody. I mean, now you're going to be coming up to some tougher games. You're going to want your head coach, but I think you're underestimating here the court of public opinion. Again, like, you don't have to prove this to the Supreme Court of the United States. All you have to do is start getting people either saying, like, this is now 3 things that Harbaugh has had in the last calendar year. So we're talking about the recruiting violations in the dead period.
No one cares.
No one cares. The other Michigan staffer who was inappropriately hacking emails from Schembechler Hall, which falls on Harbaugh.
Bizarre story where details are very loose and I don't think anyone cares about that. We didn't care about that before this.
No, and now this, though.
This one's a big one.
And so but it's like drip, 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 and now you're looking at Harbaugh, and again, I think he's gone to the NFL after this year anyway, because he's going to be running from I'll say running, like, I don't think he wants to deal with this BS anymore. I think he wants to go to the NFL.
Wild theory.
What's that?
This might be the only thing to keep Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. So
Jim
Harbaugh, last year, he had a 5-star quarterback in J.J. McCarthy coming back. He has a Heisman candidate in Blake Corum coming back. He still wanted to go to the NFL. He interviewed last year.
Yeah.
So he's been wanting to go to the NFL even when he knew he had a national championship team coming back. Now I think there's a chance that he's going to be defiant here and say, you know what, you're saying that I can't win unless I cheat. I'm going to prove to you that that's not true. There's a chance, in the sense, Jim Harbaugh is an odd duck. He's just an unusual coach.
Yep.
And he was about to sign an extension before this happened. So there was a possibility that he was going to buck his trend of interviewing the NFL every year and stay at Michigan. We kind of thought he was gone. So maybe Jim Harbaugh will be defiant. You know, listen, look at these scandals in the past. Spygate. Did anything actually happen? I know they took a first-round pick, and Bill Belichick got a huge fine, but they went on to be 16-0 that year and got to the Super Bowl. The Astros, they got caught banging the garbage can. They've won on multiple World Series. So I think, yes, this is very embarrassing in the court of public opinion, but they still could go on to win the national title, and Jim Harbaugh might be fine.
Okay, but the thing is Spygate's one thing. That Astros scandal, everyone got fired, except for the players, obviously. Yeah. They didn't because they got immunity, but the general manager got fired. The manager got fired. I mean, multiple people lost their jobs because of that. At some point, the buck always stops with somebody. And in college, it's always the head coach. And so Jim Harbaugh's got to be in the crosshairs here. Listen, I'm not saying that this is not the biggest scandal that's ever happened in college football. This is not Penn State. This is not one of those heartbreaking, awful things that we've seen. Baylor, Michigan State, these things that just are gut-wrenching. Yet at the same time, we've seen college coaches get in trouble for the big stuff and the little stuff. Jim Tressel, gone because of tattoos. I mean, it seems like a different time, but I'm telling you, whether we think it's appropriate or not, to be naive to say that Jim Harbaugh won't be facing any potential ramifications, and I think everything's on the table from being suspended for games or getting fined or whatever, up to getting fired. I just think it all has to be out there on the spectrum.
But listen to this sentence. Jim Harbaugh was fired because he was illegally advanced scouting. I mean, come on.
No. What it's going to be, how it's going to be framed is an elaborate sign-stealing scheme.
Which is perfectly legal in college football.
Well, not when you send guys to advanced scout
but you
and
say
to
the
record
word,
it.
There's no rule against sign stealing.
No, but to go in advance to send someone to a game.
Period. That's all you can do. You can have film from the All-22 that shows the signs. That's why you're supposed to change up the signs, because the signs are out in the open for everybody, and there's nothing against stealing them.
So the other part about this, like if you're calling Jim Harbaugh to the carpet or whatever, right, and you're saying like that none of this matters, like sign stealing, and I've heard a lot of players and coaches come out and say, well, you still have to execute the play. You still have to, make the stop or whatever. If it wasn't working, why'd you keep doing it? If you got absolutely no tangible benefit from this whatsoever, it's just habit because or you're paranoid, or why? Why did you continue to send this guy, which looks like 3 years up until this year? This dude, Connor Stallions, was supposed to be at the 45-yard line for Ohio State, Penn State, and he no-showed, which was probably wise. He's now been suspended with pay. But still, like if it's no tangible benefit, then you would not do it. If there was something that we thought was helping our radio show get an edge, we would continue to do it. If we showed no edge whatsoever, we would stop. They never stopped. We're
talking about college football, a sport built on a pyramid of lies. So they've been illegally recruiting and paying players for 65 years. Yeah. This is sports where people lie very easily. How many FBS teams are there? How many do you think send advanced scouts?
You know what? How many got caught? Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And Michigan. And that's who we're dealing with right now.
You're going to hear a lot of silence from other coaches. I do think it's relevant. I think you're going to hear a lot of coaches be like, I don't really want to talk about that. Because if they're going to really hurt Michigan on this, then they open themselves to hurting other people for a very minor infraction.
No, I get it. But I also think there's a reason, if everyone's doing it, then there is a reason why we had the Michigan part leaked. Because whether coaches want to call each other out publicly about this is one thing. Whether they want to screw each other over behind the scenes is another. We know that is incredibly competitive. And I think somebody wanted to screw over Harbaugh because I think they were being too egregious about it. You always say about cheating. You have a great line about this.
Yeah.
If you want to cheat, you can't get 100 on the test.
Oh, you got to get an 85 to 90. Absolutely.
Exactly. Maybe somebody thought Harbaugh was overstepping or Michigan was overstepping where they were trying to get 100 on the test because they had the answers as opposed to trying to, not make it so obvious.
I totally hear what you're saying. It could be something personal. I actually agree with that logic. You got to look at the big picture. Some people could be coming after Harbaugh. Now, listen, they came after Dabo and Brent Venables on the same thing because there's a lot of ill feelings towards Brent Venables. So Clemson's been sign stealing, and everyone knows it, and coaches have talked about it.
Yeah.
So, again, I just think that it's a widespread, and it's kind of a minor thing. You have to change your signs in college football because there's no headset, and now there might be. So everybody is signing on. They must know that everyone's watching your signs. It's not hidden.
No, I get it. But at this point, we're past is this how much of an advantage did you get? Or is this a big deal? we're past that part of this story. Now it's about the scandal and who knew what when, right? Just like Deflategate. Deflategate, how much of an advantage was Brady really getting? And by the end, that's not what Deflategate was about. It was about, was Brady lying? Did he give his phone over to the NFL? All that stuff. This is now, we're beyond whether this was like, the reason why Michigan had turned their program around. We can look at the numbers and suggest that perhaps it was. However, maybe it's one small part of it. Now we're into the who knew what when. Yeah. And how are they going to get punished?
But I'm not disagreeing with you. This is going to continue to grow. And like I said, I'm going to read every detail of this, and I love it. But it's so much like Deflategate. In the heat of a scandal, everything feels huge. In 5 years, we're going to look back at the scandal and say, why did we care so much about it? That was the stupidest thing, just like Deflategate. Deflategate might be the stupidest scandal in the history of sports. That a guy took a little air out of a football in the bathroom, all of a sudden we're in federal court and Tom Brady's destroying his phone. That's what I feel like. I feel like we're going to turn this into a huge thing. And then years from now, we're going to say, God, that was such a minor violation.
YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can watch the show. You can also watch us on Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Maggie's Karaoke Pants is in the chat. Just say good morning to the Weedos and the coffee drinkers. Said they'd be dinged for cheating in a too arrogant and obnoxious way. There you go. I don't know if that's technically what the NCAA has in the bylaws, but it's something around that. That's the vibe.
That is actually pretty accurate. They should put that in the bylaws. If you're going to cheat, keep it cool.
Please be a little more subtle than having the former Marine on the sideline pointing to the sky because it's a pass play.
Yeah, coaches that everyone likes, I don't think they're going to go after. But Harbaugh, guys like Dabo, I think those are the coaches should watch their backs. Nobody's going after Saban.
To pile on.
Watch, Nick Saban could be cheating, but Nick Saban, all his assistants coach other places. They all love Nick Saban. He's fine.
Do you remember when Jimbo basically threatened to expose all the secrets?
But everyone hates Jimbo, so that's fine.
I know, he's like, there's some things going on at that program. It's like, all right, well, out with it.
No, that was about the NIL.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This is college football we're talking about. This isn't the Supreme Court. Everybody cheats. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. It's closer to NASCAR. Man, now that you say this, if Jim Harbaugh gets fired because of this will go down as one of the most overblown penalties that ever happened.
I think everything is on the table. I think the question is, should Jim Harbaugh get in trouble for this? I think he will. You, as a college football coach, again, you can't do the I didn't know, because if you say I didn't know, well, then everyone will say you should have known, because you got to know, like, when everybody does anything in your program.
Okay. Bill Belichick clearly didn't know about Deflategate.
He made that very clear when he threw Tom Brady under the bus multiple times in multiple press conferences.
We assume all these head coaches are the Wizard of Oz and they know everything that's going on. It's an assumption.
College, though, there's a reason. How many coaches, can we count this up, EJ, in the break? How many coaches are on the Michigan staff? 1,000?
Probably a lot.
I mean, 100 million? Like, you should have so many eyes and ears, and they're all reporting back to you.
Okay, Dion doesn't know everything. Dion is holding down about 11 different jobs and on TV and ATVs every day. There's no way he knows everything, because how much knowledge could Dion possibly have? The guy is so busy every day.
I think Dion knows more than everybody. They all know everything because I think college football coaches are paranoid not just about other programs, they're paranoid about their own team. But they're dealing with a bunch of college kids. I'd be paranoid too.
But there's 24 hours in a day. You can't tell me. Dion probably doesn't even know the name of some of his players. That guy is so busy. Look at him. He's on TV all the time. Is he really got his hands in every aspect of the program? He's clearly a coach who's handed it off to his coordinators, as every good coach should do. I'll bet you Harbaugh does some of that. I
think Jim Harbaugh's looking at something here. He's looking at a penalty, because you can't lie and you can't say you didn't know. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So glad to have you on this really awesome Wednesday. It's Great Debate Series Day. Bring that to you a little bit later on in the show. What do we have cooked up for today? We'll hit that a little bit later on. Plus, coming up next, one season comes to, well, a sad ending. Devastated around here.
That's one way you could put it.
Devastated. We'll get to that in moments. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back here on Maggie and Perloff. Man, this Jim Harbaugh debate is getting really interesting. We're putting out a poll.
Yeah.
What's the wording exactly, Maggie, here on at Maggie and Pearl about Jim Harbaugh's future?
The exact wording is, should Jim Harbaugh face punishment for the sign stealing scandal?
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Say Jim Harbaugh...
I say yes, by the way.
Knows he did it.
Yeah.
He has to come out and say, I have no knowledge of this, regardless. Like, he has a duty to his team.
Oh, a must-lie situation?
It's a must-lie because, say, he admitted, yeah, we did that, which, by the way, would be no big deal because there's sign stealing all over the sport. You can even get, I was reading, like, you can get all these signs on TV. There's so many different angles on the TV broadcast. So
then why send the guy to all these different schools?
Get a better angle and get more.
Clearer vision.
By the way, there must have been a lot of work to process all those signs at the Michigan. I don't know who did that. It must be a gigantic Excel spreadsheet of the signs and the signals. But Harbaugh had to lie because they're having this great season. He can't come out and say, yeah, I knew about it, and then have to deal with the repercussions.
Listen,
he's got to protect his team.
There's 100 different ways to no comment. 100. See, here's the thing where it's not going to matter, though, because he can say, I didn't know, and I could say, you should have known. And
I should have known is just soft to me.
Well, I mean,
should have known, like you're saying, should have known in when there's more nefarious, like when there's actual criminal activity. I think should have known is like a moral obligation as a coach to protect young people. The should have known about the sign stealing, I don't think that's as heavy.
Well, should have known because there's a paper trail that leads somewhere because this guy was buying all these tickets under his own name, flying to these different cities, presumably staying at hotels. Like, this is the paper trail's pretty obvious here. So should have known, I think, still holds up in this situation.
Okay. Let's be honest. He knew.
I think he knew.
Of course he knew. Connor Stallions is 3 feet away holding up a laminated card with the Ohio State play. you don't think he'd be like, hey,
how'd you get there?
What's that? What's that you got going there?
No, and half the team is like doing the signals.
Yeah, you think he was so focused on making sure the little compact on his butt didn't fall off, like that he couldn't pay attention to the guy with the other team signs? I just think it's such a minor thing. And I've been reading more and hearing coaches talk about it. Everybody does this. They have to change up their calls. And if Ohio State did not change their calls, then that's on them, too.
Everybody does this is something called whataboutism that is only used to deflect. You see this in politics all the time. You're going after me. What about that guy? He voted for whatever. This happens all the time, and it doesn't matter in this situation because right now the NCAA and the Big Ten have the goods on Michigan. Well, so you can't just say, well, we think that Illinois is doing it too, so we're just going to sweep this under the rug. It doesn't work that way. It's public. It's been leaked. Yahoo had it. ESPN had it. We're all talking about it. They've got a problem on their hands. Harbaugh has a problem on his hands. It
is a problem, but it's not a dire problem, in my opinion. The whataboutism does work in college football because Cam Newton, everyone knew in 2011, mid-season, that he had taken money. That's a scandal that this has been compared to. It's a national title team that might get dinged mid-season.
Yeah.
So there's no way college football could seriously say, Auburn, your season's off because you paid this guy under the table. Because every single person who's ever seen a college football game knew that every other SEC school was paying players.
Remember, they did try to suspend him, and then they weirdly reinstated him for the SEC championship
because Auburn must have said, like, oh, okay, you're going to get us for that? Well, guess what? Alabama's in the same state. You think that they're not paying players? There's no... you have to look at the big picture here. And the big picture to ruin this season for Michigan or for Jim Harbaugh would make no sense, and it would open up the NCAA to all kinds of problems because then all of a sudden 60 other schools are going to get dinged for this.
Listen, Michigan will play out the season. They're going to play out the season. They might win. Nothing is going to change on the field in terms of disrupting the schedule. The problem is, number one, asterisks, which we will talk about to the end of time now with what did they know and how much did they know.
Yeah.
And then secondly, what happens after the season to Harbaugh? Is he actually going to get in trouble? Is he just going to scurry away and go to the NFL? That's all to be determined.
Scurry away. That's a very judgmental verb. By the way, J.J. McCarthy's walking out the door to the NFL. Blake Corum's finally done. They have about 43 guys going to the NFL draft. It would be a great time for Jim Harbaugh to leave.
Well, I mean, you're Michigan. You're supposed to just reload. EJ, you found out how many coaches actually are on the Michigan staff.
I did. It is 36 staff members. So there's 12 considered on field, which ironically, they don't post the rest of the people on their official website. But because Michigan football is so popular, every Michigan, journalism site has the rest of the staff. And it's 24 other people that includes offensive assistants, offensive analysis, defensive analysis, grad assistants, this guy, Connor Stallions, is on that list.
Yeah. Covert ops.
Yeah, so they're like the Wu-Tang Clan. There's endless numbers of
multiply.
But that is not a huge surprise. I think my college, Dartmouth, had at least 20 to 30 coaches. There was a ton of people. High schools now have, I've seen high schools with dozens of coaches.
I know generally they're volunteers.
No, I think in Texas, there's a lot of guys on the payroll. Well, like, I think Texas, you always have an offensive and defensive coordinator, a head coach. I think there's like 5 assistants on the payroll there. That's how big time football works now.
I think you have all these people. It's a lot of whispers. Everyone reports to who?
Who cares? He was sign stealing. Come on. It's not even illegal.
Well, it is, or else they wouldn't be investigating it. Let's get to Andrew Bogus. She's got some headlines.
I do, but first I want to say, can you be my dad or my boss? Because nothing is ever wrong or bad.
I know.
Everything is nothing. It's amazing.
So awesome.
It's great. Oh, the Eagles suck last night. Nah, not really. This guy stole signs. Who cares? Everyone does it. It's great.
As my friend Chris Collinsworth said, people.
Oh, now we're gonna. All right.
People play the result too often. They don't focus on the process. I'm very analytical minded. Win or loss, that's short-sighted to talk about that.
Okay.
For example, if my baseball team loses, look big picture here. You can't focus on the immediate negative here. You got to look big picture.
The big picture, like they're going to play next season? Like, what's the big picture?
I don't know. You guys got to help me out here. I'm trying to rationalize.
Picture. Goodbye to Aaron Nola and free agency?
Yes.
Okay.
Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and progressive.com.
Perloff's like a nihilist or something. It's just like nothing matters.
Yeah, I don't know what the right word for it is, but it's amazing.
Oh, but
maybe not a nihilist. I don't know.
Everyone gets way too caught in the moment. Let's fire Jim Harbaugh. Come on.
I just said it's on the table.
Yeah, but that's where people are going to run with this because once something gets on the table in a scandal, it doesn't go back off the table. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. And by the way, you could be right. I'm not totally disagreeing with you, but the media gets all up in arms about these mini scandals, and then they turn out to be, well, not what we thought they were.
Okay. Most importantly, guys, we did it.
Celebrate good times. Come on. Celebrate. Celebrate good times. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Let's celebrate.
Our excuse-making friend never saw it coming. We were jinxing his Phillies the entire time. And it was a long con, falling behind 2-0, then 3-2, setting up winning games 6 and 7 in vaunted Philadelphia.
Here's a pitch. And a fly ball, right field. Going over is Corbin Carroll. He's under it. He's got it. And the 2023 Arizona Diamondbacks are headed to the World Series for the second time in their 26-year history.
Who had Jake Cave making the final out of the Phillies season on their bingo card?
Whoa.
Woof, Arizona going to that fall classic at the expense of all the heathens who play baseball and or live in Philadelphia. The D-backs scored twice in the 5th to take the lead for good. Their bullpen tossing 5 scoreless after Brandon Pfaadt K'd 7 over the first 4 innings. They sent the Phillies home 4-2, setting up a fall classic with the Rangers. He now deserves his name being said correctly. Here's the world's best manager, Torey Lovullo.
When it finally happened and I saw the fly ball go up, it was a pretty euphoric feeling. We're adrenaline junkies. You know, it's in and out of that moment. And when it hits a high and you feel it, it's a flush through your body and it gets no better.
Those loud Philly bats quiet last night. Schwarber, Turner, Harper, 1 hit in 11 combined ABs. But don't worry, the Eagles are still playing football. The Sixers season begins. There's Flyers hockey. And Jim Harbaugh is not a cheater.
Let's not be ridiculous here. The Sixers are going nowhere. I'm well aware of that. The Eagles are fine. When did you guys know the game was over? Because I'm on a lot of Philly. There was something. What's that?
When it began.
Yeah.
About the 4th inning, my phone starts blowing up like, this is bad. This is looking bad. This is not good. There was so much hope that last night was going to go well, and you could see it was a slow decline into complete disaster.
Well, I think there was the stat, wasn't it? The Diamondbacks had won every game where they scored in the first inning.
And that was when it got bad.
But it's only just the only thing that's a bummer about it, and we love that Carlos is here today. It's just a bummer that Pete Bellotti is not here to celebrate with us because he really was the mastermind behind the fake bandwagon that all the rest of us jumped on with the Phillies, trying to prop him up.
He's still celebrating.
I'm sure he is.
I'm 85% sure the reason why he is not here is because he was popping bottles.
Wait,
and having
He's
a great
just
time
dead
last
drunk
night.
after last night.
so let me ask you guys: are you guys feeling real joy about this?
I feel
Yes.
like relief. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It worked also. See, this is what happens when you get a certain number of us Mets fans in one room. We can really just vibe. We can bad vibe our way into anything. Like, we just put all the stink on you, and then first ever Game 7 in the history of the franchise, taking a big L.
Yeah, and Bilotti, P.S., absolutely celebrating. At 2:30 this morning, you can do a timestamp, he tweeted like a meme of a Philly cheesesteak being made. So I don't know what's going on in the Bilotti
Like in a
life.
good way or a bad way?
I mean,
Because that sounds like delicious.
it did look delicious, but it was meant to be dismissive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I told you guys the Phillies bullpen was it was 2-0. I told you guys the Phillies bullpen. Like, I actually offer hard,
You actually did see
cold,
exactly what
rational
happened.
analysis, and that's exactly what happened. And by the way, that Diamondbacks call, I mean, there was such a lack of excitement for a hometown call there. What? Nobody's excited about this. This is not good for baseball and good for you guys.
You know that why people get on Philadelphia, whether you live in the Northeast or you live in the West Coast or whatever, Philadelphia fans have a bad reputation, right? New York, Boston, same.
booing
definitely-
have a reputation.
Booing Santa Claus, all that stuff.
They're booing last night.
Yeah, of course. They should.
I mean,
Yeah.
They
At
booed
least at
Kimbrel.
least they stayed for 9 innings,
Yeah,
unlike
I-
Game 6.
Kimbrel will not show his face in the City Brother of Love ever again. Would you boo Kimbrel?
but it's like, are you booing in? See, here's the thing also about the Phillies. The whole season turned when one fan was like, hey, let's not boo Trey Turner. Let's cheer the guy. And then you got some good mojo, and then still the fans are booing
You can't
as you're losing in Game 7 of the NLCS. It's so...
You can't reverse 70 years of fan behavior because one thing with Trey Turner worked out. They were booing Jalen Hurts in the season opener.
Yeah, it's like asking a dog not to bark.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, I think it was a close game against Minnesota and Hurts threw an incompletion and they booed him or something. This is a crazy fan base. But that sort of isn't that passion? Isn't that a good thing?
I guess so.
No.
I mean, I think where this was lost was 7th inning, Harper's up, you're down 4-2. You got 2 on and 2 out, and Kevin Ginkel.
Yeah, he's good. Oh,
Ginkel
man.
is good. Ginkel's throwing gas, but Ginkel struck him out. Ginkel v. Harper.
I think he flied out, didn't he?
Or yes, he did fly out. Sorry, not strike out.
Yeah, Harper just missed 2 fly balls, just got the wrong part of the bat. But I mean, come on, it's baseball. You can't kill a guy for flying out. I mean, yeah,
I could.
Bet against Bryce Harper at your own peril, guys, because that guy.
We did.
We just won the last 2 nights.
That's why we were playing the cool in the game. Anyway.
But wait till next year. I'm telling you, Bryce Harper's going to go on a tear.
Yeah.
You're
Mets
out.
fans, wait till next year.
Day one, once you get a healthy Bryce Harper and a new closer, this Phillies team is going to destroy your Mets.
My middle name might as well be wait till next year.
I
We'll
know.
live through.
Yeah, basically, they didn't have Harper for the first month, and he was never the same. This Phillies team is all about
He
what's
was
next
never
year.
the same. He was the best player on the planet until Sunday. The last 2 nights, he was terrible.
He was raking.
What is next season? 2024. Wait till 2024.
Yes, that's your year.
Once they get the bullpen, it's been forever. They can't fix this darn thing. I'm telling you, optimism. I'm turning a new leaf. I'm not going to let you guys get me down with your celebration
We
songs.
already did. It already worked.
Okay.
We jinxed the team.
And we're coming for you next.
I do
Scherzer.
agree, by the way, that you guys did jinx a team because most of what happens on a sports field is determined by where the fans are sitting and what you're doing, where you're watching TV.
I know you believe in that.
I do believe that because last night I was flipping between basketball and baseball, and I was watching, and the Diamondbacks scored a run. I'm like, got to go back to basketball. And that's the only rational behavior, right? Don't you guys watch sports like that?
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm not turning off the team I'm watching, but sitting in the right places, moving, turning. The biggest thing is if my team's playing on national TV and local TV, then switching between both. If things aren't working out on SNY, we're going to ESPN. Things aren't working out on MSG, we're going to ESPN.
I totally understand.
It's sick because I cannot stand watching the national broadcast, but I'm not going to watch my team go down 4-0 in the first inning.
Yeah, I mean, it's all up to you. The worst part about that is when I've had a couple lucky T-shirts where I'm like, all right, I'm going to wear this T-shirt They win. I'll wear it again next week like a true psycho sicko that I am.
Yeah, of course.
And then they lose. And it's like, well, I got to throw the T-shirt out.
I remember one time
I'll only wear it on Wednesdays now.
you made wings and the Bills won a game, and then you had to make wings like 6 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and they lost. And then I made the wings again the next year, and
Yeah.
they lost.
No,
So
it's-
now we'll never make wings again in my house.
This rational fan behavior, and no, you guys played a big part in this. You guys deserve to celebrate. You cost my Phillies a chance to go to the World Series and lose to the Rangers. Because the Phillies,
all
You're
those things
welcome.
sound great. I don't know if that's supposed to be a negative.
You're welcome, America.
I'm very
We
happy
did
with
it.
all those results.
Wait, don't let that, again, rationalization escape us. We prevented them from losing to the Rangers.
well, that's what Philly does.
No.
They get to championship games and lose. It's kind of our thing right now.
City of runners up.
The NBA season began last night with the Nuggets getting their championship rings, raising their banner. Those rings, BTW, have a pull-out bejeweled banner in them. Denver then dropped the Lakers 119-107 with Nikola Jokic posting 29 points, 13 boards, and 11 assists. Devin Booker scored 32, KD adding 18. In the Suns' 108-104 win at the Warriors, Steph Curry scored 27, but missed 10 of 14 threes. Broncos safety Kareem Jackson's 4-game suspension cut in half on appeal. And this isn't exactly sexy hockey, but it's something.
Near side, McCann walks in, looks in front, scores! Jordan Eberle wins it in overtime!
What a goal! Jordan Eberle, bring on the funnel cakes!
You know, funnel cakes are better than naughty stuff sometimes.
Our
depending-
sexually suggestive
Yeah.
hockey
I
highlights.
Love me some funnel cake.
Yeah, what team does this?
That's the Seattle Kraken, who won in Detroit last night 5-4. I'm not sure of what that means.
Well,
but
they said it like it's a tradition to bring on the fun. I want to be part of this. This
the
sounds
team's
amazing.
existed for 2 years.
But they said bring on the funnel cakes. Like we all know. Oh, Kraken win a big game. It's funnel cake time.
It's a long-standing tradition. Everybody knows that.
I know. It's
I
like
thought that
not
was-
touching the cup. It's like everyone knows.
Established in 2021.
Bring on the funnel cake.
Wait, how is also the play-by-play guy? His voice is almost gone. The season started a week ago.
Listen, you win 5-4 in Detroit in overtime in late
Yeah.
October. You're not going to have a voice by overtime.
What city, when you think of funnel cake, I think of Pittsburgh for some reason. Or something. I don't think of Seattle. I think of salmon for Seattle.
I think a Texas State Fair. Anything
Yeah.
fried.
Yeah, I'm thinking like states where state fairs are legit.
Yeah.
Texas is.
But you
one
don't
of
think
those.
Seattle, right?
No.
I'm trying to deflect from the Phillies loss and get that out of the
Have you
out of the
ever-
news cycle.
It's working.
We have 4 hours here.
I know.
This is not. You're not escaping this.
We're gonna bring it back. Have you guys noticed this? This happens at our town pool. You know, where you has a snack shack. They do the funnel cakes in the same fryer that they do the chicken nuggets and the chicken tenders. So all the chicken tenders by the end of the day taste like funnel cake. It's a real mind meld.
Oh, that sounds good. By the way, funnel cake is a Western Pennsylvania Dutch creation. So I associate it with Pittsburgh. That's where it's from, not Seattle.
Well, I already have the reason, the explanation. The guy who said that is the color analyst on Kraken Radio, and he's new this year. His name is Al Kaniski, and that's been his random call at the end of wins during his hockey career. So this is now, he's just brought it with him to the Kraken.
What a brand. That's like strong brand
Yeah.
association.
It began in the minors. The team wasn't playing well. They won a game. Him and his partner went to a brewery across from the arena to celebrate. They had beers and there were funnel cakes on the menu. So that became their thing after a win, was to go get funnel cakes. And now he shouts it on NHL broadcasts.
You're making this up.
I swear to God, I'm not. The Everett, Washington Herald has the story.
Can we be associated with some kind of fried food? I
Yeah,
love that.
After a great show, yeah.
Yeah, bring on the cronuts or something.
Yeah, right. Fried Oreos when we get to a segment we actually break on time, which didn't happen right now. Fantastic, folks. Good. Yes.
Yeah, I'm good for now.
Amazing.
Go
We'll
Diamondbacks, go.
We'll see you next hour. Just brilliant. Coming up, got a lot more to do. A major dilemma for USC star Caleb Williams. We'll get to that. We got some LeBron James stuff for you for later as well. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Maggie and Perloff here on CBS Sports Radio. So this was an interesting one from Emmanuel Acho, former Longhorn, played in the NFL. Had a thought for Caleb Williams. Now that USC has lost 2 games, Perloff, so the college football playoff is not happening.
Yep.
The idea that Caleb Williams, now the presumptive number 1 overall pick in the draft, should just shut it down. Not play again this season. We've had this conversation in the past. Most recently, like Jadeveon Clowney was one of those guys.
Yeah.
Dudes who have these really great like sophomore or junior years, mostly sophomore years, and have to come back to college. What's the upside of continuing to play the season once a championship is out of reach? Now, even back when we talked about this with Clowney, guys were still pretty much playing bowl games at that point. For the most part now, dudes usually don't play bowl games. Caleb Williams did last year, to his credit. But the idea of shutting it down, to me, not such a foreign one. I don't think that his character gets dinged too much from this if he wants to look ahead to the pros. I think we're in a different time now in sports where people get it.
Well, it's different for different positions. Nick Bosa shut it down at Ohio State once they lost, and he still went number 2 overall. And there wasn't a lot of blowback, but the quarterback gets a lot more attention. Caleb Williams is a reigning Heisman Trophy winner. He gets a lot more attention. I think him shutting it down would get a scrutiny that he doesn't want, because there's been character questions about Caleb Williams forever, that he's kind of about Caleb Williams. You know, he has one of those hyper NFL dads. Yep. He's been wanting to be the number 1 pick, that people think, oh, okay, like Caleb Williams is not all about his college career. He's all about his NFL career. So I think shutting it down would add to that. I don't think it'd be a good look for him personally.
See, I think with that, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. We know so much now about what it takes to get yourself from an elite high school athlete to a college athlete, or to the NFL. He doesn't have a choice of what else he's going to do. Like, at least in the NBA, you could go play in Europe if you want to. You can go to the G League now. You don't have to pretend to go to class at Duke for a year and then go to the pros. Caleb Williams has no other option. He can't, I guess he could go to the IMG Academy and train for 3 years and then go to the NFL. That's so not realistic. So if he doesn't have designs of being this great college player, again, already has a Heisman, he shouldn't have to play out this season just because, like, that's the way it's always been done. I hate that logic.
I agree with you. I think a player could sue to get into the NFL. Maurice Clarett did in 2014. Completely different legal background now. NCAA has lost every case since then. I think if a player sued right now, they would win because there's so many antitrust concerns with football. There's no legal reason a 19-year-old shouldn't be able to play in the NFL. If they really pushed it, I think they could do it. But that being said, I don't think this is going to happen because college football is the perfect minor league for the NFL. They love it.
They love
the
it.
NFL loves it. The problem is also college football is so popular that I think that's going to keep this system in place. The other thing, Caleb Williams is not sitting down. He is on every commercial. He's on Wendy's commercials. He's on Nissan commercials. So if he sat down, I think he becomes less relevant. I'm not saying it's contractually obligated to do that, but Nissan's going to call and be like, what the heck? You're sitting down and we're showing your commercial every 5 minutes?
That'd be short-sighted by Nissan because I bet they're hoping for a long-term relationship with him when he is the eventual number 1 overall pick. Like, I can't ding a guy who has said all along, I want to play in the NFL. Then he acts like he wants to play in the NFL, and everyone's like, that's a character concern. It's like he's telling you he wants to be an NFL quarterback. College is a stepping stone towards that. He doesn't have to. I don't even know if he loves playing in college. He might love it, but he doesn't have to to not be thinking about your future is just crazy. And we wouldn't ding anyone else. Like, I went to college. I knew I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. I knew it. No one ever told me, like, you shouldn't get jobs outside of your schoolwork in broadcasting because you want to do this job. Like, that was fostered, that was supported, that was nurtured. Why, if Caleb Williams' ultimate goal is the NFL, why wouldn't we do the same for him? Because he's got to make money for USC? Come on.
Well, I feel like that's a little bit myopic. He gets getting a lot out of being in college football. The guy has a Heisman Trophy winner. He's not getting his Wendy's ad because he's sitting on the bench for the Jaguars. I think there's a lot of value. I mean, NIL has changed this whole formula too. He's already making millions of dollars.
Yep.
And here's the thing about that. You say like a long-term relationship with Wendy's. I would just look at, he's wearing a USC jersey in that Wendy's commercial. So if he's like, I'm quitting USC, they can't run that commercial anymore. I think they can, but it will look stupid.
They'll just do what they do with every other athlete where they put him in like some random
They're not going to shoot. They're not going to shoot new commercials. That commercial runs all the time in college football.
But I feel like that's like the forest through the trees, right? Yeah. It's like he's a commodity and he's getting all those commercials. Yes, because he won the Heisman, but also because he's going to continue to play.
I'm not so sure. I think he gets a lot of value out of that Trojan uniform too.
But how can we like ding his character because of this when he said all along that he wants to go to the NFL? Like, and now he would put the NFL first when there's no shot you can get a championship, and now he's like a bad guy? I don't get that.
Who said he was a bad guy?
Or just, that questioning his character, that he'd be like, quote unquote, quitting on the team.
Yeah, I just think that the NFL would not like him to sit down. I don't think they want to see that out of Caleb Williams.
We want to hear from you. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's into crypto. She's got 5 on it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, morning show here on CBS Sports Radio. Very, very busy day. Been talking a lot about Caleb Williams. We've been talking about the Michigan sign-stealing scandal, whether Jim Harbaugh should be facing penalty and punishment for what is now looking like an expanded sort of, I don't say global, because it seemed like it was mostly Big Ten schools, but definitely there was a lot of, it was coordinated, I think we can call it coordinated effort to try to film future opponents. And if Jim Harbaugh didn't know, as he says he didn't, should he have known? And could he be facing punishment? Everything up to missing games, being fined, to losing his job and getting fired.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. If they sent him to Dublin for one of those early season games, then we're not talking about the FBI anymore. Now we're getting to the CIA.
It's espionage.
This is an international scandal. This is so overblown. The guy's holding up a sign with Daffy Duck and Dan Patrick's head in Oregon. You're telling me these signs are so mysterious? Like, what are we doing here? Everybody's got to be stealing these signs. And if you're a college football team and you're not watching the other team's signs, what are you doing?
The scandal has moved past the point of what this actually is and whether they got an advantage from it, to did Jim Harbaugh know that rules were being knowingly broken? Did he sign off on it? And if he didn't know, should he have known? That's what this is about now. Like, the TikTok of this, while interesting, the details are amazing. A former Marine is, getting the reconnaissance work here. All the schools he went to, purchasing the tickets on SeatGeek and StubHub. I mean, all this stuff is so juicy. But now the question is, who knew what when? And Jim Harbaugh's the guy who's what is on the line here, because he is Michigan football.
Well, let me ask you this. If they go ahead and kick Penn State and Ohio State's butt this year, we know that Ohio State and Penn State are aware that sign stealing has happened. Clearly, there's no advantage in this case. Will that prove Michigan didn't need the sign stealing?
Well, I think you're calling into question things that we've seen over the last 3 years, because that's when this allegedly started. And it does coincide with a major uptick in the Michigan program. I mean, I don't want to say this like the only reason why Michigan all of a sudden turned from a place where Jim Harbaugh was taking a pay cut to now they are arguably the best team in college football.
Right, but if they go ahead and kill Penn State, which I think they will do, then that had nothing to do with sign stealing. They're just a better team with NFL players at every spot on their roster. They might have multiple first-round picks. So I think they can prove that it wasn't the sign stealing. They're just a better team.
Okay, well, the other thing is when the college football playoff rankings start, which is different than like the coaches poll and the Associated Press poll, right? This is like the college football playoff committee.
The committee that goes on ESPN on Tuesday nights?
Yeah, and they put out who's like in the top 4. One of the things that they definitely look at is like how much you won by. Like style points matter for how you get ranked in these things. And Michigan is blowing teams out, which is kind of the only thing they have over Georgia. Like Georgia's played a couple closer games, a 1-score game against Auburn, the 2-score game against Kentucky. So a little bit closer. I mean, if the sign stealing was working when they were playing, Little Sisters of the Poor earlier this year, they were getting style points for it. If they're ranked above Georgia, I don't know. They're getting an advantage.
But their schedule, Michigan's schedule is particularly weak, though. I mean, it is unbelievable. I mean, they got Michigan State in the middle of complete disarray. They got Nebraska in the middle of complete disarray, and then East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green. Come on, Georgia's close games were against real schools, at least, and they weren't even that close. Like, what's the game we brought up last night? South Carolina.
Yep.
Was Georgia really going to lose that game? No, they just sleptwalked through the first quarter.
I remember sitting here, and there were a lot of people in this room and the adjacent room thinking that Georgia was in trouble against Kentucky. And I was like, it's not going to happen.
Well, if it was in Kentucky, that would have been totally different. That game, by the way, I know the final score was a blowout. There was interesting things that happened early in that game that sort of determined that game. Kentucky's a good team. And if Georgia, every team will have letdowns. Michigan has not had that letdown. I think the sign stealing thing is going to be greatly affected, the depth of this scandal, by what Michigan does forward. Because now there's no excuse. Now, if you're Ohio State, you got to change your signs. You probably should have been anyway.
You got to wonder, were they scouting TCU last year?
Yeah, I wonder that too. That's the other thing. That at least they could say, like, hey, look, we didn't know what TCU was going to play. We didn't understand those calls.
EJ, do we have some early poll results, please?
Yes, we do. So we asked the question, basically, should Jim Harbaugh face punishment for the cheating scandal? So our early results show that 68.8% say yes, he should. And then you had 31.2% saying no.
All right.
Change it to will.
No,
and what do you think?
Don't change it to
I'm just
will.
curious.
We don't have Twitter Blue, so I can't edit tweets. That's not how this works.
We don't have that kind of funds.
Do you think it'd be a radically different result? Do you think actually anything's not should, but do you guys think that something will happen here? Because I lean towards no. I think Jim Harbaugh's gone by the time that they suss through all this stuff.
Okay, but it's a little more complicated. Like, this is just the facts of the investigation that are out there now. As college football fans and smart fans as we are, make a determination. Should he be punished for this?
But should is meaningless. What's going to actually happen here is all that matters. Is Michigan going to get dinged, and is it going to get in the way of them trying to get to the Final Four?
I mean, I don't know if should is meaningless, only because we talk about the conversation about the asterisk. We talk about the conversation about the integrity of what Michigan's done. If people think he should be fired and we didn't go back to what Jim Harbaugh's legacy is as a coach, then they're saying, well, he should have faced punishment for that thing. He should have not finished that season, or he should have been fired, the following season. Like, I think that there is some value in should.
I think that's an after this season question, though, the asterisk, because I think the real question here, logistically, are they actually going to do something that messes up this Michigan season? Because if not, they're probably going to roll, and I think the asterisk comes later. No, because if they go on undefeated and win the national title, that's a big deal. Like, I think this is the question to me is not what do we judge later? Is this actually going to interfere with what they're trying to do right now?
You mean because they won't have the signs to steal, or because the shadow of the scandal?
Yes. Are they actually, is the Big Ten going to try and keep them out of the Big Ten title game or something like that? Is something like that going to happen? Or are they going to be a worse team because they're not sign stealing? Let's, in my opinion, we have to deal with today here with Michigan. Yes, after the season, that asterisk stuff might be a big deal, but I think we have more pressing needs here with Michigan.
I think the court of public opinion is doomed coaches in the past. I mean, you start getting the ball, and I'm not saying this is going to happen here, but the ball starts rolling. Like, the Pat Fitzgerald scandal, like even the Mel Tucker. I mean,
right.
The court of public opinion, once these things come out and once people get behind them, now I see
totally what you're saying.
They're totally different. All three of these scandals are so wildly different. One's a hazing scandal. One's like a coach was having inappropriate phone sex with a vendor scandal. I don't know how else to put that. And now this is Harbaugh, which is more on the football field stuff.
See, Eileen, this is going to play out like Spygate. So the Patriots got dinged in week 1 of 2007 for a very similar violation. And then they just went on a tear. They've used this to make it's us against the world. They used that scandal to sort of galvanize the team. They did end up losing to the Giants in the Super Bowl. But I think Michigan could use this as a hey, it's us against the world thing. And maybe this makes them actually, weirdly, a better team. Maybe this will fire them up and they'll go on to win the national title.
I know, but it's kind of hard to do the us against the world when you were benefiting from the cheating. It's kind of like when the Astros did it. It's like the Astros, yes, the Patriots, us against the world. It's like, well, I guess you guys against the world because you messed up, because we all justifiably are questioning your success now. I think it could go the other way with Michigan. Sometimes it's like a placebo effect. Even if it wasn't giving you a huge edge, did you think it was giving you an edge? And if the players don't have that edge anymore, I don't know. There's a million different ways this thing could go. So we want to hear from you, 855-212-4CBS. I think every punishment for Harbaugh is on the table, though, up to being fired. So
I vote no on the poll. I don't think that anything serious is going to happen to Harbaugh out of this. It's too minor of a violation. It's not even sign. You guys keep saying it's sign stealing. That's not the violation. Let's be very clear about what the violation is. You cannot send a person to advanced scout.
And videotape it.
It's videotaping. It's the illegal
no. It's sending.
But it's the legal technology part of it that they also are harping.
It's the sending and the technology part, right.
Oh, I thought it was you're not allowed to send a person in
That's
person.
Part of it, too.
That's part of it. But the other part of it is two-pronged. Is that, and then there's this illegal technology, which is a cell phone. It's kind of weird. But that's the other part of this that they're saying is the issue, is that they went, and that's why I have a problem with it. Because to me, it's not necessarily about is it legal. It's you're cutting corners. I mean, you could go and have a guy watch the game and remember the signals, or you can go and get the all 22 or whatever, or wider angle of the video and look from a distance and see. But you wanted it to be crystal clear, perfect, and easy, and you did that by spending money to send some staffer.
That's your problem with it.
Yeah, you're cutting corners.
This is like it's like ChatGPT or something. Like you use technology to make life easier for you. So that's why you should get dinged for it. Interesting. 855-212-4CBS. Okay, so you're welcome to weigh in on Harbaugh and what he could be facing in Michigan. We also have a change now that's happened in the NFL. So if you are somebody who likes to follow the Vegas betting odds, you would have noticed something rather significant that happened after week 7, which is the Chiefs are now back to being the Super Bowl favorites. Plus 400, where the Niners have now flipped to second place at plus 550. Eagles after that. The closest AFC team to Kansas City is Miami at plus 1,000. So after what we saw, Perloff, this past week, AFC, is it Kansas City? Would you take them right now to get back to the Super Bowl, or would you take the field?
100% Kansas City. In fact, these odds are baffling to me. They should be much higher towards Kansas City. You just gave Patrick Mahomes a defense. Can you imagine this Kansas City team has never been consistent this early in the season? Now, I understand Nick Bolton got hurt, their star linebacker, but Chris Jones is a one-man. He's Aaron Donald now. They are so much more dangerous than they've probably been in this whole era, believe it or not. I think this is it's hard for me to say because they were almost untouchable the year after the Super Bowl. This might be the best Chiefs team of this little era because it's never been balanced like this. Not only you have a defense, you have Isaiah Pacheco, who's the best running back they had. He's a huge weapon. Mahomes is at the top of his game. Travis Kelce, obviously inspired by outside influences, is playing better than he ever has at 34.
Taylor bump?
He's as high as he's ever been. He's 34. So Travis Kelce's not aging. The wide receiver, the worry was the young wide receiver core. Do they worry you at all? They look really good to me. So I see no holes with the Chiefs here. Patrick Mahomes is on the field. They are such a strong favorite. I think the odds should be even higher.
I would definitely take the field here. And I think that the biggest threat will be two teams. Miami, which again is plus 1,000. So they're the second highest AFC team with Super Bowl odds. And I would say you got to start looking at the Ravens. We haven't been talking about this enough because you talk about your Philadelphia Eagles, Perloff, are working in two new coordinators. Look at what the Ravens are doing and working in a new offensive coordinator, the former OC at Georgia, Todd Monken. This is starting to look real good. Lamar is putting together some incredible passing games. You know he's got his legs, so he could always revert back to that if a game's in bad weather or something like that. But the passing attack has come alive. They had a bad game with drops against Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. But when the guys are when their receivers are not dropping passes, this is scary. And oh, by the way, Ravens defense, still number one in scoring. They're holding opponents to an average of 14 points a game. And the Ravens defense is always there. You're talking about Kansas City's defense. It's we're surprised that they're this good this early in the year. Ravens defense is like death and taxes and Ravens defense. They've got an offense figured out. That is going to be a scary team.
Why do you think that Vegas is not valuing the Ravens? They have them significantly behind the Dolphins and behind the Bills, or tied with the Bills, depending where you see it.
Yep. I don't know. I think there's a lot of what you say about the Ravens, which is we'll do it in the playoffs. We'll do it in the playoffs. I think it's a wait and see. And I think if you're really sharp, now would be the time to maybe jump on the Ravens because this does look, now we're, what, are we 7 weeks in the season?
Yes.
7 weeks in. Now you're seeing what a new coordinator and some life in that passing game can actually do for Lamar.
Yeah, I think there are two reasons. It's the past playoff failures with Lamar Jackson, and it's health. Odell. I mean, are we going to see him? Every time he catches a ball, I feel like something's going to happen. And Zay Flowers is not big either. That's what's happened in the last 3 years. Health.
Yeah.
They're always injured by the end of the season. I think that's the only reason they're lower.
Maybe, but again, the Ravens do this once a decade. They win the Super Bowl. We're due. What was the last time they won? 2012, right? I think was the last one. So we're a little
Joe
past
Flacco,
due.
elite quarterback.
Yeah.
I have a question too. If Lamar Jackson keeps playing like this and wins the MVP, very possible. He's on fire. I totally agree with that. Would it be really bad if he won 2 MVPs and then did not do anything in the playoffs? That would be an odd situation because how many playoff games has he won? Is he 2-4 in the playoffs? He's like Dak. He's really struggled in the postseason. So I think that's going to be a growing narrative. People are going to say at the end of the season, okay, Lamar looks like the MVP, but do we want to hold back until we see him do it against the Chiefs in the playoffs?
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. I get what you're saying, where if you're going to be a 2-time MVP. Although, how many MVPs did Peyton Manning win before he won a Super Bowl? Probably a few, considering it's 5. But Peyton Manning is also, coming into the NFL was still Peyton Manning. It's he had the sparkle on him.
And I think his stats were so much better than everyone else. Lamar Jackson, say at the end of the season, we have Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson in the MVP race. I think that's a really tough choice.
That is tough because I feel like Mahomes is always the default candidate now because he is the best quarterback in the league. But would you have to give it to Lamar? And I think the other thing about Lamar is he won the first MVP because it was this is the best running quarterback since Michael Vick and way better than Michael Vick. And so it's he can do that and he can do both. If he's turned himself into this passer who's completing 70% of his passes, now you got to give credit to the guy for changing the way he plays and for being and adding a different dynamic to what he's about.
Absolutely. One thing too about the Ravens, Todd Monken's had other NFL stints. There's data that I heard early in the season. It always takes a month to get his offense down. So I think we saw that. I think they got through the growing pains. I just think there's a little bit of nerves about some of these receivers. first of all, will the drops come back at the wrong time, and can they stay on the field? Zay Flowers is awesome.
Yep.
He is not big. And if they're going to do this passing offense, he's going to have to go over the middle. And Odell, even the other game, he started off really hot. I'm like, he's taking some big hits.
Yeah, listen, that's going to be part of it, but they need, they do have other guys on the.
Yeah.
They have other receiving weapons. It's not just them. And then I also think Miami is legit. And then we'll see what happens with my Buffalo Bills if they can make a trade at the deadline, bring in some defensive help, maybe find their mojo back. I don't want to completely write them off and leave them for dead, even though I did a couple days ago because I was in the moment and feeling very salty about them losing to the Pats.
Here's why I like the Chiefs, because the Chiefs are in that AFC West has fallen apart.
It has.
And so Baltimore's got to play. Baltimore's got to play Cincinnati and Cleveland and Pittsburgh. So I think that it's going to be hard to get home field. And the same thing with AFC East.
Yep.
The fact that the Jets have not given up with the Aaron Rodgers injury. Buffalo, I don't think they're going to get home games. Not that has helped them the last couple of years.
No, I think it's going to be the Chiefs or Jacksonville duking it out for the number 1 seed. And then whoever gets it is going to have a massive advantage.
Ooh,
You're the only team that gets a bye.
Well, yeah, an AFC South number 1 seed that's not the advantage. That historically, that team usually gets trounced in the first round. I mean, honestly, you give me the Chiefs and the Jags, I will take the Chiefs every day. We didn't mention them as a threat as well.
Yeah, the Chiefs or the field in the AFC. Where would you put your money? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Kind of like that as a poll question, too. You can always find us on the tweets at Maggie and Pearl, on Instagram, Maggie and Perloff, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, and twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio if you'd like to watch the show, because we're 10s. That's what we are. You're going to want to see this. All 4 of us. This is 10. It's like, God, that is a good-looking radio show.
10 out of 100 for me. I don't know where you're getting 10 from.
Listen, I think we're above average good looking when it comes to radio shows in this country.
I would stack this show against every show in the nation.
I'd put us up against a lot of people. I mean, it's a low bar in our industry, to be fair, but we could be the nicest house on a bad block. Anyway, yes, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. I already mentioned that. Good morning to our CBS Sports Radio affiliates who we appreciate so much. You can download the free Odyssey app to get us crystal clear, and SiriusXM channel 158. Coming up, what did Jerry Jones have to say about the upcoming trade deadline from the Cowboys' perspective? We get to that. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. While everyone else here in the studio is really mean and making fun of me for the Phillies losing, I am more generous, and I want to call out a correct call that you had, Maggie.
What's that?
This summer, we were talking about teams that might tank in the NFL, and you kept saying, man, if I'm the Titans, I'm going to tank.
Yep.
There is just no reason to go here. So they trade Kevin Byard to the Eagles. And what is the latest news from Nashville?
Okay, so the latest, and this is Ian Rappaport from NFL Network, is saying that because of Ryan Tannehill's high ankle sprain, Will Levis is expected to start this weekend against the Falcons. So you got a 2-4 Titans team welcoming in a 4-3 Falcons team. It's going to start with Levis, but he's saying there also could be some Malik Willis. So I guess on the off chance that Will Levis has you winning the game, Malik Willis can come in and you can lose that game. I don't know. I'm just kidding. They're going to do something kind of I don't know if it's a platoon, but it's likely you're going to see both quarterbacks this weekend.
So it's funny. Will Levis started his career at Penn State, and he was pure running quarterback. Like they didn't let him throw at all. I wonder if that's what Tennessee does here. They basically run a wing tee where Will Levis is going to run or Derrick Henry is going to run. I don't see them having.
Malik Willis would be able to do that too
Malik
because he
Willis
can't throw the ball.
Yeah, Malik Willis has been quite disappointing as a passer. I think this team is in big trouble here, but who knows in today's NFL? Tennessee once in a while will give you this crazy Derrick Henry game where they beat a decent team. Maybe if they keep it real conservative, they can beat Atlanta. Atlanta seems to find a dogfight in any game.
It's true.
So I think it'd be really an interesting formula.
Okay, my question for you, so why would they want to win this game though, right? And why wouldn't Derrick Henry be on the trade block, which we've heard some whispers of, because after you get past Atlanta, you're at Pittsburgh, at Tampa Bay, at Jacksonville.
Well, at Pittsburgh and at Tampa Bay, who knows with those games? Pittsburgh's offense is terrible. Tampa Bay looks like they could be tanking too.
I feel like, though, the home teams will be favored in all of those.
Tampa Bay just lost 16-13 to Atlanta.
Listen, they're playing tomorrow night. Well, narratives change quickly. They hang in there with the Bills or beat the Bills, then all of a sudden Tampa's going to be back. But anyway, I always thought this was a perfect spot for Tennessee to tank. The roster's getting a little bit older. You don't have a clear plan for quarterback after Ryan Tannehill, who is older and injury prone. And this seems like a perfect time to reset the franchise.
Watch Mike Vrabel on the sideline. You think that dude can tank? He almost looks like he wants to put on a helmet and go hit somebody. Also, they have 2 wins on the books.
It's true.
That's going to hurt you.
They're clearly sellers, though, at the deadline.
They're clearly sellers.
Tells you something.
Also, in this year's draft, we keep talking about tanking for Caleb Williams. That's going to be hard. Listen, tank or no tank, they're probably going to end up in the top 10 in a multi-quarterback draft. They're clearly drafting somebody next year unless Will Levis blows you away. Remember, Will Levis is a guy we thought of as a first-rounder for a long time.
I think he looked bad in
the preseason.
Sitting in that green room at the draft and didn't get drafted.
Yeah, it's funny how down we are on him. Partly, too, because we were excited about Malik Willis, and then he looked way too raw to play in the NFL. I'm still kind of a Malik Willis fan. I loved him at Liberty. I think he seems like a talented guy. I'm not quite sure where they're going here. They'll draft a quarterback, but I don't think they're going to tank. Also, do you want Derrick Henry? What team would trade for Derrick Henry? I think if they ask for a first or second round pick, everyone's going to be like, there's no way because the running back market's so suppressed.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that this offseason, right? I mean, Dalvin Cook and all these guys were just lingering out there on the market, let alone the guys who got the franchise tag. But I don't know, a contender who wants to put themselves, feel like they can put them over the top?
You're a Buffalo Bills fan. They need a run game. Derrick Henry, it doesn't fit to me.
Well, I wouldn't mind it. The problem is that's the play calling. Are they actually going to give him the ball? Is he going to come and just stand on the sideline with the Bills? I don't know.
You have a $50 million quarterback. You're not bringing Derrick Henry. And the thing about it, Dalvin Cook looks terrible, right? These older running backs, there's a reason they're on the trade market, and you need to give them a lot of volume. I don't think anyone's going to want Derrick Henry.
I don't know. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. But they are currently, Tennessee, in last place in that AFC South because Houston has been a bit of a surprise. I know they're only sitting at 3-3, but they look like they're going on the upward trajectory. They've got their quarterback in C.J. Stroud. Of course, Jacksonville's 5-2. And Indianapolis should be 4-3.
Big time.
They're 3-4. And when I say they should be, that's not just, they should have won that game against Cleveland. According to Jim Irsay, so unreliable narrator that he might be, this is not exactly like a
massive grain of salt.
This is not airtight. But coming from Jim Irsay's own Twitter account, he said that the league did call and apologize, or I don't know if they called. They somehow apologized and told him that they got those 2 defensive pass interference calls wrong at the end of the Colts-Browns game.
Yeah. Did they say both of them? Because the first one, I think, was a legit call. There was definitely a lot of contact. The second one, it was an uncatchable ball. I think the first one was called holding.
Yes, I'm
the second one, the pass interference, there was an uncatchable ball, so it should not have been called. Probably was enough contact. And listen, there's contact on every play.
I know, but the uncatchable ball thing is really kind of getting out of hand because these balls are sailing into the third row. Yeah. How can it be holding?
So they after the play, the officials huddled. They clearly should have picked up the flag, but you got the sense that they were either embarrassed or not confident enough to pick up the flag in such a key moment. I think the NFL is leaning towards, with betting in the world, much more of a sky judge format where somebody with a camera can overturn anything immediately.
So that's Irsay's tweet. He said the NFL admits and understands that they did not make the correct calls, saying calls at the end of Sunday's Colts-Browns game. I believe we need to instant replay for all calls, including penalties, in the last 2 minutes of all games. It's like, all right, well, you're one of the owners, so bring it to the competition committee or whatever. He might even sit on the competition committee. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this was one game. I don't think the Colts are a great team, by the way. No. Minshew giveth and taketh, and Shane Steichen made some terrible mistakes in that game.
I guess the question, though, is it's not going to be perfect because, say, for example, the Kenny Pickett, the bad spot where they gave him a first down when he clearly didn't get the first down because it was outside of 2 minutes and because Sean McVay didn't have a timeout left, they couldn't review that. So just because it's inside of 2 minutes doesn't mean we're going to correct every game-changing call that exists because that one happened outside of 2 minutes. The other thing is Do we want to know when the NFL gets these wrong? Like, do you want to know the NFL called Jim Irsay to apologize and say we got it wrong? What does that do for anybody?
I think it's transparency. I think the more transparency, the better. I think that it's good that the officials meet with one guy from the officials meets with the media. Yeah, I think you have to put it out in the open.
Okay, but it doesn't change. The Colts record is 3-4 right now. It didn't do anything. In the moment, we all saw it. We hated it. The Colts had to pay the price. Like, you just can't go back and change history. It's not like a baseball game that's like, done. You can play under protest.
I don't know. I feel a little better as a Colts fan today.
You do? I feel worse.
Well, if the NFL had not said that, it's something. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we were right. We got screwed. Is there something there? It's better than not admitting you were wrong. What if the NFL had said, no, we made the right call? People would be furious.
Do you think that Saints fans feel any better because the NFL admitted that they got the call wrong in the NFC Championship game?
Yes.
You do?
A little, 3%.
I mean, this is college, but if I go back to Miami being robbed of a national championship game against Ohio State,
yeah,
the NCAA, the Rose Bowl, or the Fiesta Bowl rather, has never said anything. I think if they acknowledged that was a bad pass interference call, I would feel better than I do today.
They're acknowledging your pain.
Yes.
You would feel seen.
I would feel better, not good. I don't think there's anything to make me ever feel good as I'm still talking about it, and it's 2023, and that was legitimately 20 years ago. But I would feel better.
Also, last year, James Bradbury with the hold in the Super Bowl, if the NFL said that should not have been called, then I could at least walk around saying, we were legitimately robbed of a Super Bowl. I can't really say that now.
No. And you're not getting what you think you're getting from that. They're never going to come out
something.
and say that.
It's better than nothing. Just we got killed by Patrick Mahomes. There's no pride in that.
Let's get to the headlines. Bogusch is here.
I think, Perloff, you mentioned this the other day, maybe not. Last night was the first time Kevin Durant played in the Warriors arena since leaving the team after the 2019 finals.
No, I said that he hasn't played LeBron in 5 years. And that's happening next week.
Okay, so here's another thing. He hasn't been back to the Bay Area since then, 4+ years. He got a pregame tribute video on opening night last night.
A lot of good moments in the video. He was able to relive some of those memories real quick. But it was good to come in here and get the season started off right with a W.
Durant scored 18, just 7 of 22 shooting. Bradley Beal was out with a nagging back issue, so Devin Booker did the heavy lifting with 32 in a 108-104 win on opening night in San Francisco.
You know what the Warriors could have done to honor him? Maybe a walker or something, because Kevin Durant got old in the offseason. I called him washed last year. I'm doubling down now. I mean, he looks like his age is catching up with him.
Well, the other part, too, is everyone gets a tribute video now. You sign a 10-day contract with the team. They're going to welcome you back with a tribute video. It's really not the thing it used to be.
Well, he did have 2 finals MVPs. It's not a 10-day contract.
No, I know, but it's like they're going to welcome back. I'm just trying to think who else left the team.
Harrison Barnes, or
do you think Jordan Poole's getting a?
No.
I bet Jordan Poole gets
Jordan
one.
Poole is the last person to get a tribute video in that building.
Let's do show bet.
Show bet.
I would absolutely jump in this. He's getting a tribute.
He's
video.
definitely getting one.
100%.
Oh,
and it should be the grainy footage of
Draymond
cold cocking him.
Whoever's doing that video is going to totally mail it in. I do not think they're going to welcome Jordan Poole back with open arms. They did not like that dude.
They're going to mail it in like what the edits are going to be off.
Yeah,
and,
you guys know. You could tell by the tribute video when they really mean it.
I want to give the Columbus Blue Jackets some credit because they played one as a joke the other day for goalie Jonathan Quick, who's now on the Rangers. Rangers played there the other day, and Quick passed through Columbus as a part of a trade.
Yeah, right.
And they were just like, ha, we loved your time here.
Yeah.
I was about to say, Jonathan Quick was in Columbus?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think if maybe he never actually played for them, but they did it as a joke. That's the way to do it.
For Jordan Poole?
Well, not necessarily for Jordan Poole, but I'm into the sarcasm. So anytime, NBA, there's a lot of paperwork trading. Guys never actually played there.
Yeah, like Drew Holiday should get a tribute video in Portland.
Yes, that's what we're doing.
They should do a tribute TikTok. Just make it like 10 seconds long.
The first game of this new NBA season was in Denver. One more title celebration. Then a 119-107 win over the Lakers. Nikola Jokic, another triple-double, 29 points, 13 boards, 11 assists. Jamal Murray adding 21 on the emotional night.
Try to stay calm, cool, and collective out there. Like I said, just try and take that energy, that confidence, realization of what we did into the game.
LeBron began his season with 21 points in 29 minutes. You guys just mentioned this. New reports this morning say Will Levis is prepping to start Sunday against the Falcons. Was Ryan Tannehill deals with that high ankle sprain. Mike Vrabel said yesterday Levis and Malik Willis would play if Tannehill cannot. Broncos safety Kareem Jackson now suspended 2 games after appealing his 4-game ban for his second ejection for an illegal hit this season. Now, the Patriots waiving Malik Cunningham yesterday, 10 days after adding him to their active roster. He will likely return to their practice squad if nobody claims him.
Did they pay him?
It wasn't that a great signing. It was a great story. Malik Cunningham gets signed. I thought that was a feel-good story of the 2023 season. They waived him again?
I think, though, it's more procedural.
Yeah,
That's how to get him back onto the practice squad.
I noticed the Bears keep waiving and bringing back Nathan Peterman as well. There's some funky roster thing going on
They
here.
signed him to a 3-year extension on Tuesday. Wait, hold on. I got to look this up. Sorry,
Yeah,
Bogus,
no, I
continue.
remember that's the headline.
This is all Belichick has. He no longer has being the smartest guy on Sunday.
Yeah.
So this is what he has. Is these weird procedural things where he thinks he's one-upping the NFL. Like, oh, yes, you signed Malik Cunningham, and then you cut him, but he's on our practice squad. He can still be on our team. Who are you gaming on that? What's the market for Malik Cunningham? Give me a break. This guy is washed.
When he had no backup QB, like that the last weekend before the season started, because he put everybody on waivers.
Yeah, he's playing this like 3-dimensional chess, but like he's actually playing, I don't know, like tic-tac-toe.
Every NHL team played last night, a first for a weeknight. The Golden Knights are 7-0 after a 3-2 win over the Flyers. Colorado and Boston 6-0. The Avs 7-4 winners at the Islanders. The Bees got a 3-0 win in Chicago. All of that happening after the NHL backed off its dumb ban on Pride Tape and any other special gesture or event to support a worthy cause. Players now allowed to support those causes with stick tape during games. Bob Melvin's about to be the Giants' new manager, ending a contentious 2 years in San Diego. There were apparently issues between the dugout and the front office. The Padres made the NLCS 2 seasons ago. Then this year's 82-win disappointment. And I almost forgot.
Swing and a base hit right field. Carroll rounding third. Castellanos charging. We're going to have a play at the plate. The throw is cut off. Carroll scores. Moreno in a rundown. And he tried to juke out the first baseman Harper. The put out there will go 9-3-4. But the Diamondbacks take the lead.
And never gave it back in Game 7 in Philadelphia. They won their first NL pennant in 21 years, 4-2. The Phillies hadn't lost at home this postseason until the last 2 nights. Corbin Carroll scored that go-ahead run after driving in the tying run. Now plays in the Fall Classic. That's a heck of a rookie season.
I thought it'd take a little more time. So to be able to do it in this first year just makes it all the more special.
Game
Does he
1.
Cry? Does he cry?
I don't think so. I think he's just oddly delayed in speaking. Game 1 with the Rangers is in Texas on Friday night. Guys, back to you.
Well, Perloff, it was a heck of a season.
Okay, so
that
you guys
started paying attention to around August.
Yesterday.
So you guys were rooting for the Diamondbacks to beat the Phillies. Are you going to continue?
But we were disguising it by claiming to root for the Phillies.
Everyone saw what you guys were doing. But yeah, it was well done. I will give you that. You did jinx my Phillies. Are you guys going to continue to root for the Diamondbacks? Did you fall in love with this
100%.
Diamondbacks team?
Oh, 100%. There is no way I'm ever going to see Max Scherzer. That
so this all comes back to the Mets.
That stick-up man who took $40 million a year from Steve Cohen's pockets to go out there and just get shelled in every big game for the New York Mets. I do not ever want to see that guy at a World Series celebration. Get lost.
Wow.
And he'd be right in the middle of it. He'd be right in the middle.
He is like, I cannot, like, watching him during the time when they clinched the wild card. And he goes out there and pitches that Game 7. The guy can't even get past the third inning. And he's out there celebrating like he did something.
Those wacko eyes.
He's legit that meme of like my job here is done. But you didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. And yet here he is. He's the guy that's going to get an A+ on the group project that did no work.
So, okay, can we all reunite as a team here and all root for the Diamondbacks then? Because I'd be down with that.
You're going to root now for the team that just beat you?
Yeah, I think that's a proper sports strategy.
Yeah.
You do root for the team that beat you because it makes your team look better.
You're right about that. I think Perloff did find a loophole here, which is you want to lose to the eventual champs.
Okay, that's fine, but that's a solitary effort. There's no room in our club.
I can't get in the baseball club.
We are on our own mission here.
I'm trying to.
You
guys are having
your
so
Philly
much
loving
fun.
nonsense alongside.
Listen, it took 7 games, but I learned 3 or 4 players on the Diamondbacks. I'm ready to go. Do you know Evan Longoria is still playing baseball?
Yes.
I'm going to push back on this. Like, for me, whenever my team loses a heartbreaking series to an opponent, I now hate that opponent. Like, you should hate Corbin Carroll forever. You should be on site with
Nothing but
Kelly.
love for Corbin Carroll.
See, no, that's fraudulent behavior to me. Like,
mostly because I don't know who Corbin Carroll is.
Really can't hold a grudge. You have no idea.
If he's not the guy with purple hair, then I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Perloff can't pick him out of a lineup. He really can't hold a grudge.
That's basically
He was the one crossing home plate several times last night.
It's a 2-man team. It's Evan Longoria and the guy with purple hair. and that Cattell Marte guy killed us. You know who he is, right?
Lourdes Gurriel?
No, not Lourdes. Marte. You warned me about him. Maggie tried to tell me.
Marte,
Yeah, Cattell Marte. And I disagree. I'd rather lose to the champs. I'd rather be like, well, listen, they beat us, but at least they went on to win. It's like if your significant other has an affair, but then goes on and marries the person. It's like, well, all right, it wasn't for. They didn't throw our relationship away for a fling.
Great analogy.
I'd be more salty.
But I mean, how can I root for the Texas Rangers? I mean, that's hard to do. They bought this team.
I mean, Max Scherzer's on the team. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, but somebody's got to do it.
Also, this is one of the great Cinderella stories in sports history. No one's paying attention to that. Is this the worst World Series team? Or second worst?
For the Diamondbacks?
Yeah.
It's the second fewest wins and the second worst run differential of a World Series team.
Yeah, this is a great Cinderella. I think we're a Diamondback show.
Are we a D-back show?
Well, separately.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't be in the club.
It's a 4 and then 1 situation. Bogusch, thank you so much for those headlines. 855-212-4CBS. You are welcome to get in on our conversation. Coming up top of the hour, great debate series continues. It is Wednesday, which means we tackle some of the biggest questions in sports. We got a good one today. It's a little bit tangentially off of baseball, but it's so much bigger than that. Every sport is involved.
Bigger? We'll see about that. Is that the weirdest tease ever?
People have no idea what we're talking about, so that didn't make any
but
sense.
I do.
You're going to have to wait around. Just not long, though. Top of the hour, that's when we will do our great debate series. Coming up, is one future college star going to be on the field much sooner than we thought? We'll get to that in a minute. Don't move. Maggie, Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Top of the hour, we do our great debate series. What do we have in store today? You're going to have to wait and find out, but not much longer. There's been a lot of quarterback news coming out lately, Perloff. We get Will Levis is going to be starting for the Titans this weekend against the Falcons with Ryan Tannehill has a high ankle sprain. That's in the pros. On the college side, Quinn Ewers for Texas is out with an injury, and it looks like you-know-who has been taking first-team reps this week, according to Steve Sarkisian. So Arch Manning now could see the field in his first year at Texas. He'll be a backup this weekend.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me because Texas is still in play for the Final Four. So it's not just a debut of Arch Manning. They need to play well to keep this going. I don't know if they're waiting for Ewers to get back, but let's say Malik Murphy, who's starting, or Arch Manning is even better than Ewers, who's been up and down this year. I think he's been a little bit disappointing. It's not just about Arch in this case. And I think people will make it about Arch. Yes, we're all dying to see Arch. Yes. I want to see what it's like. But, man, it'd be an even better story if Arch came in and could beat Kansas State and eventually beat Oklahoma again in the Big 12 story. It's setting up to be possibly a magical run, but a lot has to happen because it seems like he really is the backup from everything Sark has said.
Yes, so he and Malik Murphy are both taking first-team reps, and now Arch is going to be the backup. They play BYU this weekend. They welcome in BYU, but you mentioned Kansas State. That's looming on November 4th. I mean, that's a big one.
The interesting thing, too, Malik Murphy's a different style than Arch Manning. Malik Murphy's gigantic. He can run right over you. So Sark can do a lot of different things with Malik Murphy, where Arch Manning, I'm assuming, is more of a pocket guy. I think it'd be really interesting. Sark is also the best offensive coordinator probably in the country. So he's going to make both these guys look good if they get on the field.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you had Ewers, and you're right, he hasn't played like amazing, but he was definitely doing enough to stave off, Murphy and Arch. And thought, all right, well, then Arch is just going to have a redshirt year. I think we all kind of put him out of our mind a little bit, for him being like basically the most famous college football recruit in maybe ever.
Long time.
For him to go on the back burner, especially because he's in uniform and he's on the sideline for these games, but for him to go on the back burner was going to take a lot. But now we see that he could be in play. And then you brought up something interesting where we saw the story yesterday, which is if Ewers doesn't go to the NFL, if he's dealing with this injury.
2 years in a row, same shoulder sprain. This is a real problem. The NFL is not going to like that at all. I think he's going to want to prove I can stay healthy.
Where does he go, though? You're not coming back. Or there's no way Arch Manning's sitting for 2 seasons, is what I'm saying.
I don't know. I mean, there's a way. You're saying that it's 100% that Quinn Ewers would leave?
I don't think he would stay there.
He was the quarterback of what was a number 3 team in the country. If they hadn't lost to Oklahoma, I think they'd still be at number 3. That's pretty, it's not a bad option.
Well, he already transferred once too, right? So I don't know.
So he transferred from Ohio State, came to Texas. You're right. It's unlikely that he stays, but who knows?
Do you really think Arch Manning, who was, let's not forget, like sought after recruit. Now people could say, if he wasn't a Manning, he'd be a 3-star, whatever. He had every college basically was clamoring for Arch Manning. I don't think there's a universe where he's sitting for 2 years if he's healthy.
So he's only 18, though. Arch turns 19 in April. Still pretty young. You're right. You're probably right. I just would not completely close the door. And then there's some Malik Murphy issues. Yep. So Malik Murphy destroyed everybody in the spring game. And the report is every single team in the portal tried to get him.
I'm sure.
So maybe there's value there. So you could have a 3-way quarterback competition, which would be a lot of fun.
But if I'm Malik Murphy, why wouldn't I leave? Let's just say, for example, if they made some kind of, wink, wink handshake with Arch, like, hey, you're going to sit this year, but we're going to get you in next year. That wouldn't be crazy to think that would happen.
Well, because Murphy didn't leave this time. Same situation. He knew Arch was there.
But maybe there wasn't a perfect fit. I mean, now you're going to have we think there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks going to the NFL. There could be some good teams out there. Go somewhere else for a year and turn yourself into a first-round draft pick.
I think Murphy had really big options. I can't imagine big options. Top 10 schools. He was a 4-star, but I think he's even elevated his status since then. You can have 3 future pros in that quarterback room. Yes, you're right. It's got to be Arch, but crazier things have happened. I think the best drama would be if Ewers comes back. Can you imagine what people would be saying in the spring game? Let's see, a quarter of Ewers and a quarter of Arch.
I'm just curious if we're going to get Arch this year now. The door's been widely cracked open.
Also, he gets 4 games before he ruins the red shirt option.
Yeah. Does that matter? Do we think Arch is really sticking around campus all 4 years?
I don't, but maybe they consider it. Maybe if they don't put him in for 2 plays and cost them one of those games, do they?
Coming up, the Great Debate Series. We're talking about athletes. We're talking about stature. We're talking about the greatest to ever do it. Come on back.
You're in a 5-minute break.
This is Maggie Gray with an Odyssey Sports Minute.
Perloff Skyline Chili Bet Payoff. Number 10.
With the cheese, he is very delicately breaking the film.
Number 9.
There is juice cascading off his nose.
It's good.
Number 8.
All the way in. Oh, we have spaghetti. He has found the pasta.
Number 7.
Big bite. Oh, that's a lot of pasta.
You're really getting in there.
Number 6.
Why I didn't.
There we go.
Slurping sound.
Good slurping.
Number 5.
Oh.
Number 4.
Oh my God.
That was a full open mouth tongue scoop of pasta. This
Number
is
3.
Oh, it's like he's a 4-year-old.
Number 2.
A bowl of chili anymore. Oh, our first rip of pasta.
And the number 1 moment from Andrew Perloff's Skyline Chili Bet Payoff.
Noises as we gobble up. Oh, now it's over.
Top 10.
We are live right at the Rose Bowl where no big deal. Penn State demolished, dominated, controlled number 8 Utah in an absolute dominant victory. So let me just tell you this, folks, for the future, 2023, look out for the Nets. They dominated with Sean Clifford, 6-year quarterback, no big deal. They got July coming in, 2 freshman running backs, dominant. We'll see you next year. We'll see you in the playoff. We are live right at the Rose Bowl where no big deal.
3 minutes remaining.
You stole my heart, you intercepted it. Now you're gone, have to accept it. Did I meet your mom too soon? Or did I do what I always do? Yeah, we made it to the 50, and then you kissed me. We made it to the 40, a new love story. We made it to the 30, and you did me dirty right then. You put the end in tight end, and as I touched down, just like you in a game, I'm in another town, and nothing feels the same. Wish I could go back when we met that day. Oh, whoa, and throw a flag on the play.
What's in the fucking box? What's in the fucking box? What's in the fucking box? What's in the fucking box?
seconds. What are we waiting for? Take this!
It was after the Mayweather-McGregor fight, and I hadn't eaten in 16 hours. I was staying at a really shady place by myself, and I walked in Vegas. I walked across a super crowded intersection just to get to In-N-Out.
Hashtag warrior. That was brave of you.
They'll stop at nothing. Here are Maggie and Perloff.
Welcome into the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Lot going on today. Talking about the ever-exploding scandal at Michigan. Now, this one doesn't rise maybe to the level of some of our all-time great scandals, Watergate, Deflategate, stuff like that. However, it is one where the question that's left to be answered is, what did Jim Harbaugh know? When did he know it, if anything? And if he didn't know anything, well, he should have known, because the paper trail of one of the staffers at Michigan traveling to games to scout future opponents was not very hard to locate. He was basically just buying tickets on SeatGeek and StubHub and using his own name.
What did he know? When did he know? You're making it sound like Watergate. This is Connor Stallions, and I think you need to say the name more.
I'm sorry.
You do enjoy saying it.
I do. Awesome
this
name.
dude bought tickets on StubHub and sat there with a camera in this. This is the silliest scandal, because every team uses these signs. Just watch the All-22. There's a million ways to get these signs. Yes, it was a more efficient way, but to me, this is not a sea change strategically. This is not that big of an advantage. I think we're making too much out of it.
Listen, it's a rule that appears to be broken. There is the smoking gun, at least it looks like a smoking gun, of video evidence of Connor Stallions, the former Marine, is on the sideline with like laminated sheets of paper that appear to be the opponents.
Could be anything.
Yes, that's what, it's the breakfast order?
Like, I was thinking it could be the Waffle House menu.
Yeah, that's what's really on Andy Reid's call sheet.
Yeah.
But I think you have this evidence. They think that there's more to come. Jim Harbaugh saying that he didn't know anything is not going to hold up very well here. And so then you're just talking about a coach who's lying. And we know what happens when people lie publicly. Then you start to get public opinion and sentiment against you. That's when the snowball starts to happen. And you look back at Harbaugh, who had a self-imposed ban the first 3 games this season for recruiting violations, a different staffer who was hacking into emails from Schembechler Hall, and now this, and it's like not even a calendar year.
I would count on public opinion turning that much against Harbaugh in Michigan. I think there's a lot of people in the public who feel like I do. This is much ado about nothing. Yes, did they probably cheat? Yes, but we all cheat. We all go over 55 miles per hour on the speed limit. This is not a major violation. It feels more like a minor violation. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some public backlash against people calling for Harbaugh's job, or not that you're doing that, but people take it too extreme. I think the court of public opinion is to be determined here. And if Michigan kills Penn State and Ohio State, then what are you going to say? That can't be because of sign stealing, because at this point, the other teams know.
Yeah, I know, but if they've been scouting Ohio State and Penn State for the last 3 years.
Doesn't matter. Ohio State and Penn State just changed the plays. At this point, it doesn't. What their signs were 3 years ago can't help Michigan now.
I know, but like, how many different things do you really have to audible to? I don't know. If they're creating like dossiers on these teams, which is what I always thought Belichick was doing all those years, because Belichick loves to scout other coaches' tendencies. People who have worked for him have said that all the time, that you're basically creating a file on like, what does this coach like to do? What's the tendency at this point?
1,000% should be doing anyway, and a good team would be doing. And Maggie, you have to change your passwords all the time.
Yeah.
If I have to keep on changing my passwords to order something on Amazon, then I think Ohio State can change their plays. College football is so silly, the way they do play calling. Obviously, there's a movement now to get communication through the helmet.
Yeah.
They're doing it in high school, so they have to start doing that in college.
Let's hear from Matt Rule, who is one of those coaches from Nebraska. Carlos, this is cut number 10. Matt Rule talking about the lack of technology in college football is to blame here.
That's why they score maybe more points. but it's also why the kids are less prepared. So that's why there should be 100% should be. We could get rid of all the stupid signs on the sidelines, and we could get pictures of, rock stars and all that stuff, and we could just play football the way it was meant to be. You go to a high school game, there's technology on the sideline. You go to an NFL game, there's technology on the sideline. You go to the college, there's nothing.
Yeah, maybe this was created a long time ago because you had haves and have-nots in college football. Like, not everyone would be able to have this kind of technology. It's simpler now. It's not like so advanced. Having a headset in the helmet is pretty much, par for the course.
Right. Well, I think you bring up an interesting point. Just remember, this whole rule is about sending scouts. In 1994, teams could not afford to send scouts out on the road. If everybody could afford it like the NFL, they would have said, go nuts. Of course you could send a scout. That's why I think the whole thing feels silly. You're telling me Michigan can't have a person in the stadium to watch Ohio State, Penn State?
Listen, I won't disagree with you that it might be silly or whatever, but two things. There has been a marked improvement in Michigan since this allegedly started. You can't deny that. Might not be the only reason, but it's definitely happening. And two, it's a rule. It's broken. There's evidence. Now we just need to know whether the coach knew about it. And Harbaugh got in trouble already for lying about something stupid, which was like taking a recruit out to get a hamburger. This is much bigger than that.
Yeah.
And listen, I think that he's going to be in trouble here, and I think everything's on the table from missing games to fines to being fired. Like, I just think it's all here right now at this point in the investigation.
I got to tell you, if it's the NCAA versus Jim Harbaugh, the NCAA will never win a public opinion battle. That's the one thing that Harbaugh could get on his side. People do not like the NCAA. Can we agree on that? No one ever sides with them.
No, everyone hates the NCAA because everyone hates bureaucracy, but Jim Harbaugh is also not a warm and fuzzy character, and I bet other coaches, maybe not in public, but behind the scenes, I bet they negative recruit against him because they all do that, and I bet if it's egregious, like it looks like it has been with Michigan, then the other coaches probably want him throw the book at him.
But we know something else will be happening. Are the other coaches innocent? Are you going to get on your soapbox if you know that somewhere there's some ticket that was bought by one of your assistants somewhere too? Right. Because if Michigan's doing this, I would hope that other smart teams are doing this as well. I would do it.
Of the 36 coaches that EJ counted up that are on the staff, do you know where everyone was at all times? Okay, it is Wednesday. By the way, you're welcome to weigh in on this Harbaugh stuff. 855-212-4CBS. It is Wednesday, which means we hit the great debates.
The Great Debate Series.
Today, we tackle a big topic with some small people. Today's great debate, the greatest short athletes ever. The greatest undersized, small for their sport, not for society, but for their sport. The greatest small athletes of all time. And I'll tell you who mine is, Perloff, and he's what inspired this great debate series this week. And it's Jose Altuve. Jose Altuve is the greatest small athlete of all time. MVP, 2 World Series, 8-time All-Star, a Gold Glove, 3-time batting title, ALCS MVP, he's a Silver Slugger. Jose Altuve has done it all in Major League Baseball. I know there's cheating scandal around him. He's continued to produce at a high level, including what we were watching in these playoffs. Jose Altuve is not 6 foot. It's not 5'10" in shoes or whatever. He's 5'6" and 160 pounds. When Ken Rosenthal does an interview with Jose Altuve, they're the same height. And Ken Rosenthal is one of the smallest people in the media. This is not natural what we're watching with Jose Altuve. He is completely overcompensated for his height. He is the greatest short, small, undersized athlete of all time.
I don't think he's even the greatest short baseball player of all time.
Who do you got?
I mean, this is not my choice, but Joe Morgan has a better case. Joe Morgan is 5'7", is the fact that he's taller, but I looked at the list. I think Joe Morgan's pretty good. 2-time MVP, multiple-time champion. He is 37 on ESPN's list of top 100 players of all time. He's right next to Bob Gibson and Sandy Koufax. He's one of the greats of all time. Now, my question is, Altuve is one of the great postseason guys. He doesn't quite get that high on the all-time list, does he?
Because he's still playing.
Yeah, I mean, he's amazing. He's great in the postseason, and he is probably a little shorter than Joe Morgan. Maybe there's a little bit of a whiff of a little help he got. Does that factor in?
I mean, listen, it's asterisks on everybody with that Astros, but he's...
But he might be the worst of the worst because he wouldn't take his shirt off. I know you think that it's ridiculous that he had a buzzer, but that is the lasting image to me of him, even with all these dramatic home runs. For me, this is an easy choice because no one doubts that this guy was the best at his position. Barry Sanders was 5'8" in a sport of giants, and maybe you could argue Emmett or Walter Payton or whatever. Nobody was more exciting at running back in the history of the sport than Barry Sanders. Nobody did more with less. Barry Sanders was an anomaly in this sport. He was basically a little bowling ball going through a forest of gigantic defensive players. It was unbelievable to watch. Much more of a highlight player, obviously a Hall of Famer. I think he's top probably 15 all-time players, where Altuve is just a little lower on the list. I got Barry Sanders, and I know you love Barry.
Okay, I love Barry, but here's the thing why I didn't pick Sanders is because at his position, guys can be like 5'8", between 5'8" and 6 foot. You're
so
running
can baseball.
back. There are not many second basemen who are 5'6".
Second baseman is the famously short position in baseball. There's
short,
no tall
like
6'1". There's never been a tall second baseman.
No,
has
but
there?
short is like 6'1" or 6 foot,
No,
not 5'6".
Second base is where the short kid goes. Everyone knows that.
I know, but not when you get to the major leagues. Like, even when you're a running back in the NFL, being short can be a positive for you. You're 5'6" in baseball at second base. There's no way that's a positive. And Jose Altuve is still a Gold Glover, playing great defense at that small stature.
Isn't second base always the shortest position on every team?
Okay, but not 5'6".
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Morgan, second base, 5'7". I think that there are short second basemen.
Two in the 150 years we've been playing baseball.
No, there's a lot of short. Ken Oberfeld, remember that guy? I don't even know if he played second base. He was a great postseason player for the Braves when I was a kid. Okay, Barry Sanders, though, was shorter than all those guys. Emmett was short, but he wasn't Barry Sanders short.
I don't know what Emmett was listed
He was 5'9", and Barry Sanders was 5'8".
Okay. All right.
Hey, this is a game of inches right here.
We are doing a game of inches because the great debate is the best undersized athlete of all time. EJ, who do you have?
Okay, so I think both of you guys are off the beaten path because I agree. I think you're both arguing the same points. I think with Maggie, there are short baseball players where I'm not sure if that's a disadvantage. Yogi Berra, Joe Morgan, Pudge Rodriguez, Perloff. Running backs, okay, we can talk about all the short running backs. I'm going to a sport where being short is a big disadvantage, and that is, of course, basketball. And I'm going with a guy who not only was a good basketball player, but played a different sport and could have maybe been a pro in that sport. I'm going with 3-time slam dunk champion Nate Robinson of formerly the New York Knicks and plenty of other teams. This guy scored 40 points in games 3 times in his career. He's the only slam dunk champion at 5'9" to do it 3 times. And again, as a freshman at Washington, he started 6 games at cornerback and had 2 picks and was one of the best defensive players on the team. And in fact, the coaches on that team said that he absolutely tracked to be a future NFL corner. I think when you look at the athleticism, look at the sport he played, look at the fact that he was able to leap tall buildings over a single bound, you got to go with Nate Robinson. I mean, he jumped over Dwight Howard.
But if you're going to go with a short slam dunk champion, I say short slam dunk champion, who's the first person that comes to everyone's mind?
Spud Webb. Spud Webb.
Spud Webb.
Sorry.
So he might get boxed out by Spud Webb in this.
Spud Webb, it was another guy I thought about, and Spud's fantastic, but he didn't win 3. He won 1.
And, of course, Muggsy. I mean...
Yeah, Muggsy Bogues, I feel like, would be the other one. Here's the question, though, about Nate. He does have some bona fides with the slam dunk champions and stuff, but he's definitely not even close to the Hall of Fame, and he never won anything.
Right, but my point, though, is that I think we're talking about the greatest. I think what you're thinking about greatest athletes in terms of like accomplishments. I'm talking about this person is short, and what is the challenges that they're facing. I mean, I don't think there's as many challenges for Altuve and Sanders for their sports. I think basketball is a sport you have to go to, and if you're going for short athletes, I'm going Nate because of the slam dunk championships Of course, he was a good NBA player,
Yeah.
and then he could have been an NFL player. If we're going athlete, then I don't think it's close.
We had 2 picks at Washington. I don't know if he's going to be an NFL player, but I get your
and
point.
6 starts.
I get
as a
your
freshman.
point. But you have Calvin Murphy at 5'9", who's in the Hall of Fame.
He's
so
great.
He's got the better career. And I would say first thing that comes to my mind, if you're like best short NBA player of all time, it's actually Iverson, but he was 6 foot, so I don't know if that takes him out of the running.
Oh, no. I mean,
He's
Iverson's
undersized.
That's the other thing. Nate Robinson's 5'9". Muggsy Bogues is 5'3". He's not quite short enough, is he? Is he
5'9" is
it's short, but I mean, what was Tiny Archibald? I assume
6'1", because he was going to be
6'1".
Yeah, he was going to be my pick until I looked it up, and I was like,
Get out of here!
I couldn't believe they listed
How
him
come
at
he
6'1".
How can he get the name Tiny?
I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything bad about Tiny Archibald, New York City legend, but I was a little surprised by that.
How about Earl Boykins was 5'5".
Yeah, Earl Boykins,
But
Muggsy
again,
Bogues,
didn't-
Spud Webb. Those are the short guys. I didn't think Nate Robinson was that short.
Well, he's pretty short.
Oh, he is
5'9". You look pretty. I mean, the basketball players are so freakishly tall. I'm fine with him being 5'9". I think that's short enough. My thing about Nate is just great career for sure, but not like, again, not even close to the Hall of Fame. Never a winner. You know, that'd be my one negative. Carlos, do you have a short athlete you'd like to nominate?
Oh, I didn't hesitate with this one. All right, who am I? I'm 5'5". I walk into a club and I'm taller than everybody. Here's a hint. The club's in Argentina.
Oh, Messi.
Close. Diego Maradona is 5'5". 86, ran through everybody in the World Cup, 2 goals against England. Hand of God being one of them. The other one, he just dusted the field. Diego Maradona was my pick. Too easy. He's 5'5".
Well, Messi's 5'7". It's not like Messi's that much taller than him.
It makes me feel great. I'm 5'10". I always think I'm the average. I can stand next to these guys. I'm like, I'm good. But, yeah, no, you're 5'5", and you do it in a sport like that where you can get bodied. Maradona, hands down.
He's passed, by the way, and hands down is a pun that is unacceptable to British fans, I believe. Yeah. But how Pele and Maradona and Messi, I feel like those 3 cancel each other out. And I thought we agreed
Pele
no
was
soccer.
5'8", so he's like more like I think of average height for us. I know for athletes that's pretty short, but Maradona's short for every
Soccer
stature.
players are generally short. Hockey players are not tall either.
Yeah, they just look taller because of the skates.
Yeah, that's true.
But
yeah, how tall is Gretzky? Is he listed at 6 feet?
6 feet is what I saw.
Yeah, there's no way that dude's 6 feet.
I know, but the only thing we have to go on is the official.
Wow, yes. Then again,
why I would pick Iverson. I don't think he's 6 feet.
Yeah, I don't think he's 6 feet either.
Yeah, well, Iverson, I think got in play this. Listen, I was 6'6" in high school, and there's no. You guys know me. I'm not 6'6".
No.
Add an inch and a half, and back in the day, before the combine started, they added 2 inches. Gretzky, I think, gets in play here. He's a very tiny person.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not giving you that.
Gretzky's not very big. No, Gretzky was way small. He's not big. And he was protected by all those big guys. A lot of the hockey scores, Bedard's not that big. How tall
but
is
if
he?
you have a list of great small athletes, I don't think, does any list have Gretzky?
No, you're probably right.
Yeah, I don't think so. This is the greatest undersized, like the tiny guys. 855-212-4CBS. I guess you say women too, but like
Yeah.
these gymnasts, like they're all super tiny.
But yeah, Simone Biles.
Yeah,
I
like-
think is
Yeah, they're
awesome.
all under 5 feet, right?
Just
Yeah.
pick the best gymnast ever.
Once you get to like 5'2", they retire you out of the sport.
Yeah.
Same with jockeys, stuff like that.
Yeah, my daughters were really interested in gymnastics. I'm like, don't waste your time. They're on track to be about 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
Not happening. Connor Bedard, 5'10". Did that get close enough?
I still think 5'10" is a little
That's
it's too tall.
Yeah, but Nate Robinson, you're fine with it. He's 5'9".
Well, because he plays basketball. To
Right.
EJ's
Okay.
point.
Plays in a sport
I
where
have a
there's
picture of-
he blocked Yao Ming's shot.
I have a
remember
picture
that.
of Earl Boykins standing next to Dirk Nowitzki. Now that is short. I think there's another level of short below Nate
I
Robinson.
know. Well, I'll give you the picture of Jose Altuve standing next to Aaron Judge. These are just not the same
yeah, that's
type of people.
that's a great
I mean, I
photo.
have a T-shirt that is the famous picture of Muggsy Bogues and Manute Bol
Yeah. That's
when
the
they
best.
were on the Washington Bullets together, and it's a famous picture. And I think there's like literally 3 or 4 basketballs they're holding in between each other to show how tall.
I love
they
that
are.
photo.
That's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite T-shirts. I gotta wear it maybe tomorrow.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So you are welcome to weigh in. It's our great debate series question for this Wednesday. We do this every Wednesday. The greatest undersized athlete of all time. Again, I have Jose Altuve, Perloff,
Barry Sanders.
EJ,
Nate the Great Robinson.
Carlos.
Diego Maradona.
Let us know what you think. 855-212-4CBS. We come on back with a whole lot more, including the only thing left for one superstar to accomplish. We'll get to that in moments. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Today's great show debate, which we do almost every Wednesday, is who is the greatest short athlete of all time? You can weigh in, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I almost want a mulligan. I picked Barry Sanders, but someone's calling in with a guy I wish I had considered because he's one of my favorite players, a former Eagle running back, former Saint running back. This guy we all love.
All right, well, let's go to Adrian in Maryland who wants to weigh in. Good morning, Adrian. How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. Just jumped in my car. Hope I didn't spoil any surprises. I got Darren Sproles. I also got, I don't know if anybody said Manny Pacquiao.
Ooh, Manny. So here's the, I think Sproles at 5'6".
Yeah.
You're right about that. I mean, this is like Deuce Vaughn. This size, and Sproles was awesome. He was such a great change of pace. Guys just look stupid trying to tackle him.
That is one player that I think all NFL fans can agree was awesome. Darren Sproles, he is untoppable. But Pacquiao, isn't Pacquiao the same size as the guy he's fighting often? Is he so much shorter than the competition? Help me out here on this one.
Yeah, he is a little bit undersized, but Pacquiao also fought in 8 different weight classes, if I'm not mistaken, or something crazy like that. Adrian, thank you so much for weighing in. I was just trying to look at some of Sproles. In terms of his yardage, like, you're never going to get big yard numbers. Like, EJ's is Nate Robinson, right? Favorite short athlete. But, like, to me, I'm like, I don't know if Nate had, like, a robust enough career, and I'm wondering if the same thing is for Sproles. But he was so good. His high was 600 yards rushing.
Yeah, he was a Week 12 fantasy pickup. He was never going to be the primary guy because he's tiny.
Yeah, he's 5'6". That's exactly 710 receiving yards. So he did have a season with, he had a couple seasons with over 1,000 in terms of both rushing and receiving.
On the basketball front, did Nate Robinson ever make an All-Star game?
I'm not sure.
Because Spud Webb was borderline All-Star. I think Spud got close to 20 points a game at one point. He was really good too. I think Spud is your guy for basketball, but that's old school.
5'3". Let's go to Steve is in San Diego, has another short, undersized athlete, greatest of all time. Who do you have, Steve?
Well, I was thinking for hockey, what about Theo Fleury? I mean, he was one of the shortest guys that played the game, and he was a huge difference maker. And then I have a bonus. What about Mike Tyson for heavyweight?
Yeah, Tyson wasn't big. Theo Fleury, I'm seeing 5'6".
That's amazing. Theo Fleury is 5'6".
Yeah,
I'm blown away by that. That's a good one because he was fantastic.
Yeah, obviously won a Stanley Cup, was an All-Star, so has the winning part of it, Steve, and also has the individual award with the All-Star appearance. Let's keep going here. Willie is in Arizona. Good morning, Willie.
Hi, good morning.
Who do you have for us? Greatest short athlete ever.
Oh, you know what? You said Spud Webb. Something pretty close. Mr. Muggsy Bogues.
Oh, yeah.
So good. Muggsy Bogues is like my childhood. It reminds me. He was such a big, star, too, because, he was, there was, ad campaigns around Muggsy Bogues. How could there not be?
I'm glad Muggsy had 3 seasons with double-digit scoring, so he was actually a legitimate player, too. He wasn't just an anomaly because he was so short.
It's funny. So he's listed at 5'3", just like Spud Webb is listed at 5'3", right? I believe.
No, Spud's 5'6".
5'6".
Yes.
Okay, so Muggsy Bogues, I believe, is officially the shortest person to ever play in the NBA.
Yes.
Okay. That should probably give him a leg up.
I think the only competition is Earl Boykins. I think he's 5'4", right?
Yeah, I think he was 5'5".
Okay, he was 5'5".
Sorry, one of the things about Muggsy Bogues I love is that, I think a lot of people don't know why he was called Muggsy. And people think it's because he was short, but it's actually because playing in Baltimore, he was such a great defender. It's like he was mugging people on the court.
Oh, is that why?
And that's why they call him Muggsy. And it's one of my favorite nicknames in sports as well, if you did that kind of great debate.
Yeah, Tyrone Bogues just doesn't have the same.
No.
Yeah. You guys see the Curb Your Enthusiasm with Muggsy Bogues. He has another claim to fame. But you guys haven't seen this.
I've not seen this. No, I love Curb.
It's this is a morning show. He has a claim to fame. Let's say that there was a bathroom scene.
Yeah.
And Larry noticed something about Muggsy Bogues.
Well endowed?
Yes, he does not exactly fit into that category of the shortest athletes. So that was the whole theme, that Muggsy Bogues is a short person who, as I recall, and I heard that rumor about Muggsy before, similar to Milton Berle, for example, if anybody knows that.
Here I was thinking his only acting thing was Space Jam.
I know. Multiple credits under Muggsy Bogues'
Yeah, for some reason,
IMDb.
Muggsy Bogues ended up in Curb Your Enthusiasm, or they were talking about it. But he was in it. This is I'm watching this scene. It's uncomfortable, as you would expect.
Maybe that's another great debate. Best athlete cameo on a
I thought you were talking
television
about
show.
something else there.
No.
A great debate. Greatest athlete in that.
Yeah, go do the reconnaissance work on that one.
I think that's obvious. Nick Foles.
We could hire Connor Stallion to do the research.
Yeah, right.
Now that's a place where you definitely cannot bring in video equipment into the restroom.
It's like the guy was on the 45-yard line. Why is he now in the men's room?
Oh, no. I'm watching this scene on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Muggsy Bogues is in the middle urinal between Larry David and Richard Lewis, and they're both looking down. This is wrong in so many ways.
I would say not just Nick Foles, though. Now we're on to a different topic. Big bleep Nick. But you also have Rich Hill.
Yes.
Bleep Mountain.
Oh, I don't know that
nickname. One. Anyway,
there was an interview 2 weeks ago with the Eagles, and somebody said, "Which player would you want to change places with?" And Jordan Mailata said Nick Foles, and the whole team started cracking up. And I'm assuming
it's
that's
because he has a statue, Perloff.
I thought that nickname that he had,
yes,
Nick Foles, that is chanted at Eagles games, was because he had a lot of guts and he didn't feel pressure.
Yeah.
But now I'm understanding by the way the Eagles were giggling like schoolgirls.
It was actually a little bit more.
Something that rhymes with Nick.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. I don't know if everyone knows this.
I think we all know it. It definitely got around.
But did you guys think that's because he was a big game player?
No.
Okay.
And maybe after he won the Super Bowl, I
Right.
guess maybe now we can apply
Yeah, the guy was at a Super Bowl and had no nerves whatsoever. I was like, man, the guy's got a set of what's on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. I think everyone else on the team was being a little more literal.
Yeah, I guess they were.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The first 12 hours weren't clear, but after that,
Yeah.
everyone knew what was going on.
I think also you could have just called him like Clutch Nick. They were really talking about
That doesn't
how
rhyme.
he performs in big moments. Close enough. Bogus, you got an entry for us?
I think I threw out Muggsy Bogues yesterday.
Yeah. There you go.
Muggsy Bogues, Spud Webb, all those guys came to mind. Short dunkers. I'm all in.
Let's go to Bill. He's in Western New York. He's got one for us. Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Mags. One that you would have probably appreciated is one that played behind Barry Sanders at Oklahoma State is Thurman Thomas.
Yeah, Thurman. It's funny because Perloff picked Barry Sanders as the greatest short athlete ever because he's 5'8". Thurman was 5'10". He was like towering for a running back.
He was not 5'10".
I know. We have to go on official listings on this for the sake of this debate. You're right. Thurman Thomas was not 5'10".
Thurman was actually Barry was behind Thurman. It's not the other way around, right? At Oklahoma State, I think I got the order reversed. Minor thing.
Thurman, Bill, thank you so much, and that's a fun one.
Well,
But
the thing is, if
running
you're-
backs are mostly short.
But if you're at the same backfield, the same college with a guy who's 3 inches shorter, you can't make the list. That's the problem. That's the problem. Barry boxed out Thurman Thomas. And I think he boxed out Emmitt Smith because we could have said Emmitt Smith too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, running backs they're kind of supposed to be short. Like, I picked Jose Altuve. I know second basemen are the shortest on the diamond, but, like, nobody's 5'6", I guess, except for Joe Morgan, who's 5'7", so he's not even 5'6".
I think you need the image to be in this debate. So we need to tweet out the Manute Bol Muggsy Bogues photo, the Jose Altuve Aaron Judge one.
Yeah,
and I got one
standing on second base.
of Earl Boykins trying to guard Dirk Nowitzki that is just pure magical.
Oh, man. I think we have another one. Was there a Muggsy, not just with the Manute Bol, that's great, but also...
there was Nate Robinson blocking Yao Ming's shot.
that one.
Which
put
is
that on there.
Incredible. Yes, we will have this up there in moments.
I also thought Muggsy, didn't he block? He guarded Jordan at one point,
Yes.
right?
Yes, there's those
That was
as well.
the famous, we won't say that. That's not politically correct. And, Anyway, we are looking for your greatest short or undersized athletes of all time. That's the Great Debate Series this week, 855-212-4CBS. You can also weigh in on Twitter at Maggie and Pearl, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, and twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio if you want to leave us your nominees. Andrew Bogusch is here with some headlines.
Guys, he promised a rager when they made the NLCS. Now that his D-backs have won it, not sure what Torey Lovullo got up to last night. Arizona continuing one of the most improbable postseasons by taking games 6 and 7 in Philadelphia to win its first NL pennant since 2001. Last night's 4-2 victory included 3 hits, 2 RBI, 2 runs scored, 2 stolen bases from Corbin Carroll, and 5 scoreless innings from the bullpen. Evan Longoria is happy. You now know he is still playing professional baseball.
Nobody believed that we could do what we did. You know, when we got into the playoffs, it was like, it was a charity case, you know, like nobody's, believing we can do what we did. You know, we beat the Brewers, like we advanced past the Dodgers.
He mentioned the Brewers. According to CBS Sports, the Brew Crew has lost 9 postseason series, and now all 9 teams to have beaten them have gone on to then reach the World Series.
Oh, wow.
The D-backs joining the 2021 Braves, the 2020 Dodgers, the 19 Nationals, the 18 Dodgers most recently. And in that World Series, they'll face the Rangers, Game 1 in Texas on Friday night. The Phillies, meanwhile, seemed invincible until Monday. Kyle Schwarber, part of a top third of the lineup that went 1 for 11 in Game 7.
Just seemed like we couldn't find the hit, find the hole.
So now we're doing baseball, sexual innuendo. The Lakers began their season by falling into an 18-point hole in Denver. Darvin Ham's team got as close as 3 before losing 119-107.
It's always difficult when you trying to fight uphill. They came out, they were scorching there for a second, made some big shots in some key moments. And obviously, they're riding off their championship high.
The Nuggets got their rings, raised their banner pregame, then again won by 12. LeBron played just 29 minutes in this one, scoring 21. Then the Suns beat the Warriors in San Francisco 108-104. Devin Booker began his season with 32 points and 8 assists. The Titans reportedly prepping Will Levis to start Sunday against the Falcons because of Ryan Tannehill's high ankle sprain. Mike Vrabel said yesterday that Levis and Malik Willis would play if Tannehill was out. That 4-game suspension is now 2 games for Broncos safety Kareem Jackson thanks to an appeal. His ejection on Sunday, his second of the season for an illegal hit. And the Rams cut kicker Brett Maher yesterday after he missed 2 field goals and a PAT in Sunday's 7-point loss to the Steelers. On ice last night, the Avalanche, 7-4 winners at the Islanders. Their 6-0 start ties the best start in their Colorado history, and this is their record-setting 15th consecutive regular season road win. And this a football-only move. Army joining the AAC next season, according to multiple reports this morning. Guys, back to you.
Andrew Bogusch, thank you. Yes.
I'm getting some tweets here on this topic.
Yeah.
You didn't bring up Doug Flutie, former Buffalo Bill.
So in the chat, Doug Flutie from PR. Now, Doug's 5'10", but yes, for a quarterback, it's incredibly short.
Right. You got to compare to other quarterbacks.
Definitely.
I mean, Bryce Young is also 5'10", but he's not great yet.
What's Jalen Hurts?
He's, I think, listed at 6'2", and he's probably about 6 feet.
Okay.
Some more coming in from the chat. Yogi Berra. Multiple people had Yogi. 10 World Series, obviously. And
3-time MVP, which is amazing.
You worked with Yogi.
Yeah, Yogi is tiny. But Yogi, I knew Yogi later. I was with the Yes Network, the Yanks Network. He was a little hunched over. He is short, but he's a physical specimen. At 80, he could have beat me up 3 times over.
Well, I mean, bar's low.
Yeah, fair.
What was he listed as?
5'7". Oh, wow. 5'7". Okay.
The internet says 5'8". We also had Wes Welker.
Yep, Welker's a good one. Okay,
Welker in the chat.
It's another one by position because I think if you're a short cornerback, that's one thing, but wide receivers are often tall.
I know, but I guess that's where I think of. I mean, Sproles kind of did it all. He was more of a running back, obviously, but could catch the ball too. David Eckstein is another one that came in from Pine Needle in YouTube.
I got Marty St. Louis from hockey.
Yep.
Tiny guy. Scored a ton of goals.
Did you know Theo Fleury was only 5'6"?
He's that short?
That's what
according to the internet, he is that short.
Wow, I was definitely in Ranger locker rooms with him, and I don't remember him being shorter than me. But all right, I'll take it.
Pick up that name you just dropped. I'm just kidding. Jack is in Seattle. Good morning, Jack. How are you?
Hey, good morning, you guys. Hey, a great conversation this morning. I think it's Allen Iverson is the greatest small athlete, and it's not even close. if we wanted to go football, I'd say Russell Wilson, who's still playing, and also Dante Hall, the X Factor. Those were some great athletes right there. But Allen Iverson is definitely the greatest undersized athlete that we've saw.
Jack, thank you. We appreciate that. You gave us something here. We had not thought about Dante Hall, 5'8".
Okay, 5'8". I mean, there is no more exciting player in the history of the NFL. What was it? I thought his nickname was the joystick or what? The X Factor? What?
I thought it was the joystick.
Yeah,
too.
human joystick. Human joystick.
Right.
Oh, I'm looking on Wikipedia. It's both X Factor and human joystick.
So we did talk about Allen Iverson. He's listed at 6 foot. So compared to Muggsy Bogues or compared to Spud Webb or compared to Nate Robinson, who EJ had, he's obviously taller. But of course, Iverson, he's an MVP.
I don't think that's unusually short because Isaiah Thomas probably was around then. There's a lot of great guards in history who are right around 5'11", 6 feet.
Yeah, the other Isaiah Thomas was shorter.
Yeah.
He was 5'9".
Didn't have the Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, Zeke was listed at 6'1" here. He was probably about the same size as Allen Iverson. I think you got to be below 5'10" to make this cut. I think 5'10" seems to be our cutoff.
Yeah, 6 foot sounds like, at least you're 6 foot.
Yeah, 6 foot's not
like if
short.
Bryce Young was 6 foot, we wouldn't have talked about his height.
I mean, every 5'9" guy on a dating app is making sure they're 6 foot. So clearly there's some kind of value in it.
No, as a 5'9" guy, I go to 5'10". That's as far as I can round up.
What is average? 5'10"?
I actually think it might be.
I think it's shorter.
Really?
The average man in America or man in the world?
I believe it's 5'8". That's what came to head.
Okay.
Wow. I thought I was under.
No, I would never say, oh, here comes Bogus. You see that short guy? You're not short at all.
Yeah, I just thought I was underneath the average.
Yeah, according to Medicine Net, which I don't know where they're from.
Sounds reliable.
They're saying ages 20 to 39, average is roughly 5'9".
Okay.
All right. Right on the nose.
It's funny. It doesn't work that way for women on the dating apps. Like I wouldn't round up and be like, guys, I'm 5'10".
My girlfriend was convinced that I was completely lying when I put my height on there.
Wait. Let's guess EJ's height. 6 feet.
Yeah, I'd go even 6.
That's all your guesses?
Well, can I conclude your hair?
I didn't have hair. I didn't have this hair back then when I met her.
I was gonna say you're adding an inch.
Yeah.
That's you got some good height. I'd say 6'1".
Yeah.
I'm 5'11".
Oh.
But I put 5'11" on my dating app, and when my girlfriend was showing, this to other
when she
women,
was vetting you to everyone she knows.
They were doing their research.
Yes.
She was like, "There's no way this guy is 5'11", because why wouldn't you just put 6 feet? He's definitely 5'6". And
yeah, that's what I would have thought.
Yeah. So when I met her, the first thing she said and what she thought in her head was like, "Oh, he's like tall." And I'm not tall, but apparently that's the thing that all men lie badly on their dating apps, so how tall they are.
But in sports, it's always been like that too. If you see someone before they had actual measurements at the combine, everybody had 2 inches above. You just assume you're 2 inches shorter than your list weight.
Wait, can I take one step further? Before dating apps, before you had the internet at the palm of your hand, guys used to not just lie about their height. I knew a guy in college who used to lie that he went to the NBA. Or was playing high-level basketball and would trick women into this. Now, he was pretty good looking, so maybe you just kind of go with it. But you could really pull some lies.
So I had a story about that too. So I had a friend, I'll say a friend, who went to me and said, "Hey, who's this guy?" And there was a name.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't know." She's like, "Well, I know you're a big sports fan. He says he plays in the NBA."
Yeah.
And I was like, I know almost every guy in the NBA. I'd never heard of him. And then I went and did research. So he was a player who played for the G League.
Right.
But never and he may have actually been on the team's roster. I'm not going to say the team. But he never actually got in a game. Does that count as being
yes.
telling people you're in?
That's pretty good.
You can tell someone you're in the... No, this guy was not even close. He played Division III basketball and was trying to tell people at a bar that he was in the NBA.
It was like a 10-day contract. It was not. It's not like a guy who's on the roster for a long time.
She didn't walk up and say, "Hey, this guy's name is Yusuf Nurkic. Is he in the NBA?"
Right. Yeah, I feel like you say you're a pro basketball player. I think you say I'm an NBA player and you're not currently in the NBA. And you never stepped on an NBA court.
Nah, your key card works to get in the building. I think you're.
Yeah.
You're in.
I mean, listen, we've all stretched the truth a lot farther than that. That is true.
You used to be able to lie big time on dates and stuff. Not so
I call
much
those weekdays.
Carlos, 855-212-4CBS. Bogusch, thank you so much. 855-212-4227. So keep them coming. Our great debate series, greatest short or undersized athletes of all time. Coming up, we do have the one player who deserves to win the Heisman, and we'll give you a hint. Not a quarterback. Get to that in a minute. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Man, we're having a lot of fun debating the greatest short athlete of all time. There's so many good nominations. Everyone, I'm like, oh, I should have thought of that guy.
Yes. What we decided to include it in terms of our show, I went with Jose Altuve.
Barry Sanders.
Nate the Great Robinson.
And Carlos went with Diego Maradona. He's just a little busy there, hitting the buttons and stuff for us. Andrew Bogish went with Muggsy Bogues, Spud Webb kind of combo poo-poo platter.
Yeah, they seem connected. I'll accept that answer.
Let's go to the phones. Josh is in Toronto. He's got a good one. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Fantastic. Who's your undersized short athlete?
Yeah, I think you got to go with Lionel Messi. I think, when we talk about sports, I don't think you can be the greatest of all time and be short in basketball or football, but I think in soccer you can, and I think you got to go with him. And I think he was so short he had to take, medicine as a kid because they thought he was, not going to grow at all.
Yeah, I've heard that before, Josh. Thank you. And Messi standing at 5'7". The story with Messi is that, when he was a kid, that he had to take all these, vitamins plus.
Maybe hormones or something.
To help him grow.
Yeah, we know a kid like that in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's very sad. But it actually worked out okay for Messi because I think Messi does have one distinction here. Maybe Barry Sanders gets into this conversation. He's a GOAT. I mean, we're talking about Jose Altuve, great player. We're talking about Joe Morgan and Nate Robinson. Those guys aren't Messi.
Right. When you are the greatest of your sport and you're also undersized, you're right about that.
It's a pretty good argument.
It puts them in a different stratosphere. Timothy is in Michigan. Good morning, Timothy.
Good morning, and my choice is the legendary Eddie Goodell.
Okay, so do you want to explain this one? Because this is definitely not a household name.
Oh, land sakes, I thought everybody knew him. In 1951, Bill Veeck, in order to bring in more folks to watch his awful team, Eddie Goodell was 3'7".
Yep.
Pinch hit the game against the Detroit Tigers. Walked right into legendary status.
He had one at bat.
I knew who that guy was. Okay.
So this was St. Louis Browns, I believe. He was 3'7", as Timothy said. Timothy, thank you for the call, and also 60 pounds. And he came in, and it was like a publicity stunt.
All right, jockeys ruled out.
Yeah, jockeys, it's like in gymnasts.
Yeah.
You have to be short. That's the competitive advantage. We're talking about what would seem like a competitive disadvantage.
I was thinking about quarterbacks, by the way. Kyler Murray's listed at 5'10".
Yeah, Doug Flutie was 5'10".
Russell Wilson was another one they said.
Yeah, I think he's maybe a quarter-inch taller.
We're really getting down to the nitty-gritty.
By the way, next week, do we do athletes with small hands? Because I was looking at Kenny Pickett. Does Kenny Pickett count in some weird way in this?
Is there anyone else we put on the list? Who else has small hands?
Well, the reason I said that, Kyler Murray is 5'10", but he has 9.5. He's famously huge hands.
Yep.
Yogi Berra had famously huge hands.
Yep.
So you can make up for it. Muggsy Bogues had famously huge ego.
Yeah, that's next week's great debate series.
Yeah. But if you are that short,
true.
I mean, the funny thing is to be 5'7" and make it in the pros, you have to be so skilled.
Yeah, I think this is why we like this topic, because it's really like an homage to people who are just probably, how many times are you told you're too short? And that's why I'm watching Jose Altuve now. It's not, they're not going to the World Series, but he has done so much. I know the cheating scandal is there, but he is, when he's as tall as Ken Rosenthal doing the interview, I'm like, this is nuts.
I watch different angles of his home runs, and I still can't believe someone that short can generate that much power.
You know how in Little League, when the kids are batting, the bat is so big, it looks like a labor?
Yeah.
It's almost like Altuve, it's not like that because he's obviously so strong, but it's the bat is his whole body.
It's still tough to celebrate Jose Altuve, and you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I know. The garbage cans, the MVP that probably should have gone to Aaron Judge in 2017. I know. but he's a great short athlete.
And
He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Protecting that tattoo by not taking his, getting his shirt ripped off.
Guys, there wasn't a buzzer under there. We know about it by now.
There is definitely a buzzer.
Somebody would have told us by now. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, coming up, got a lot more to do from college football. Is the best team in college football now coming with an asterisk?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Perloff was hanging out with Seth Rogen's mom in Europe.
And I actually
didn't even know it.
I didn't even know it.
Wait, what should we email Seth Rogen's mom? Can we do this all as a show? Can we have her?
Is that your Seth Rogen impersonation?
You sound like Beavis and Butthead. So we have to figure out, what do we want to write to Seth Rogen's mom?
Let's ask Seth to come on the show and talk to the Weedem.
He would be like their Pied Piper.
She's going to get him to do a cameo. That's what's going to end up happening.
Where we're going to pay. What a deal. Way to know people in high places.
She gets a 25% off discount.
I know what the cameo would say. Be, hey, I heard you were on a cruise with my mom. Cool.
And that costs $600.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. New morning show here on CBS Sports Radio. Got a couple great debates that are percolating right now. So on Wednesdays, we do something called the Great Debate Series. This week, we're doing the greatest short athlete of all time, or the greatest undersized athlete of all time.
It's funny the way we say it, the great debate. Who's the best short athlete of all time? But it's
tough.
It's silly, but then you get your head sort of going through times. Is it short because you play a sport where you're not allowed to be short, like the NBA, or is it just short because you're a tiny person?
or something you had to overcome, right? So
it's based on Altuve being amazing.
And Altuve is my pick, greatest short athlete. I mean, there are other short baseball players I know, like Joe Morgan, like Yogi Berra. These are also great, entries and great ones. I just think Altuve, he's 5'6". He's so small and yet has so much power. And I mean, I'm assuming it's natural. I know that he's got an asterisk a little bit because of the garbage can scandal, the garbage banging scandal, but he's still been so good even after that.
Yeah, he's got a funny career in the sense that he's going to have all-time postseason records. Yeah. I don't know, has he already set them? I saw he was chasing Manny Ramirez for most home runs of all time in postseason. But the postseason's so different in baseball. So how do you count that? There's so many more postseason games than when Yogi Berra played.
Right. And generally the postseason, when you're not good in the postseason, is not held against you if you have regular season numbers to get you in the Hall.
But does this take him into the all-time player list? Because I think if you think of Jose Altuve, you think of the playoffs.
Absolutely. Just getting his 27 postseason career home runs.
Is it either tied with Manny or right behind him? And then Bernie Williams from the Yankees, of course, played 1 million playoff games, so it's hard to say.
Perloff, you decided to go in a different direction for your greatest short athlete ever.
Barry Sanders, just because he's Barry Sanders. He's just so amazing. And I can't believe you didn't put him on, because every time we're at the Super Bowl, nobody lights up seeing Maggie Gray like Barry Sanders lights up. He loves Maggie, and he was so spectacular, and he was so short. This little guy would run into a pile, and you're like, oh, that's a 3-yard loss. Then he'd pop out and run for 80 yards. It was the best visual in the history of the NFL.
Listen, it's a mutual admiration society for me and Barry.
Yeah.
Believe me, a lot more admiration going my way towards him than his towards me. But the reason why I picked Altuve and not Barry is that Barry's a running back where it's okay to be short. Like, it's okay to be 5'8", 5'9", 5'10". In some ways, it's an advantage for you because you're so low to the ground, you're so hard to get on the ground. I don't think Altuve is in any way an advantage by being short. And yet he's still a Gold Glove defensive player and has power. EJ just went to go get the breakfast order. He said Nate Robinson, although I think you and I would put Muggsy Bogues and Spud Webb, guys a little bit shorter and a little bit better careers.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, I mean, EJ's not here. That's partly because Nate Robinson did some time with the Knicks, right?
Yeah, I think we're learning more and more about EJ.
But I was surprised that Nate Robinson won 3 dunk contests. That is impressive for a short guy. Listen, he definitely belongs on this list.
Okay, hold on, though, because Muggsy Bogues won the
Spud
Webb, pardon me. Spud Webb won the dunk contest. That's when guys still wanted to do the dunk contest.
Totally.
Like Nate Robinson also was doing the dunk contest because that's a great spot for Nate Robinson to get a little shine. Guys don't want to do the dunk contest anymore. Carlos went to the world of soccer.
Yeah, I went with Diego Maradona.
Yeah, who you know so much about.
Oh, yeah, I'm such a big soccer aficionado as it is, but he was 5'5". I'm like, that enough did it for me.
And Lionel Messi, 5'7", but probably would top this list because he's the greatest of all time and he's short.
But with soccer, there isn't that visual. Lionel Messi, I know he's short, but he doesn't look tiny compared to the other players. Neither did Maradona. I was surprised he was 5'5". I think when you're playing with taller guys, you stand out more.
That's true. So basketball, really where you stand out. Let's go to the phones. By the way, you're welcome to weigh in. We've gotten some great contributions from the chat. A little Doug Flutie, a little Wes Welker, David Eckstein. Let's go to Jason is in Youngstown, Ohio. Good morning, Jason. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
How about Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah, we've had a couple boxers. Floyd is 5'8", but welterweight. Manny Pacquiao, someone called in before and said Pacquiao, who was also undersized. Manny fought in so many different weight classes. Yeah, you're right. The only thing about Floyd is he's never going to fight someone huge. Right?
Yeah, that'd be weird. And if that guy was huge, he'd be so skinny.
Right. Jason, thank you so much for the phone call. But yes, Floyd definitely was a smaller boxer, and he was also a counterpuncher because in a lot of parts because of his size.
Yeah, I saw Roberto Duran was also 5'6", 5'7". He didn't look it, though. That's the thing. These guys, Pacquiao fights somebody, you don't notice that he's considerably shorter. At least I don't.
Yeah, I guess with some guys, it's the reach. It can really be at a disadvantage.
Right, but, we're talking about you see it and you know it. Earl Boykins or Muggsy Bogues steps on the basketball court. You're like, oh, my God, that's the shortest guy I've ever seen. I never did that with Mayweather.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So let us know if we missed anybody. Who do we not get to yet? The other great debate that's going on today is a little more directly tied to the news, and that is the ever-evolving scandal that is happening at the University of Michigan in terms of the sign stealing. There's video evidence now. This is the latest. Video evidence that Connor Stallions, the staffer who worked for Michigan, who was going on the road ahead of time to scout opponents, which is a no-no, was also taking video of them, another no-no. There's video of him on the sideline, like 5 feet away from Jim Harbaugh, like looking in, like kind of craning his neck to see what Ohio State does at one point, and then was Ohio State, and then feeding it back to the team, and then the team points all in the air, which means a pass play is coming.
Not a lot of subtlety in that video clip. They weren't sneaking around, and I think either they thought they weren't going to get caught, or I wonder too if there's an understanding in college football that your signs are fair play.
So I think the biggest question now is not like the severity of the crime, because you're getting different people coming out saying, listen, you can know the signs, you still have to stop the play, whatever. Now it's just about, to me, what did Harbaugh know? When did he know it? Was he lying last week when he put out a statement that said he had no knowledge of this? Because the paper trail's getting pretty lengthy here in terms of the amount of tickets that this guy was purchasing and the amount of games he was going to. Mm-hmm. Harbaugh had to have known. So would he get punished for lying about it?
It just, when you say, what did he know? When did he know it? That sounds like such a serious allegation that we usually have for political stories. Yes. I mean, it just seems out of place with how minor this infraction is to me. This feels like a no big deal because sign stealing isn't even illegal. Yes, advanced scouting is, but that rule wasn't even set up to stop this. I think EJ pointed out earlier, you can find these signs if you do some hard work on camera. It's all out there. This is not like the allegations that the Patriots were tapping the communications of the stadium. Right. This is not that nefarious to me because I watch college football and I see the signs. I don't have to buy a ticket. I see them hold up a board with, Pat Sajak's head there. And that's a call. So it's not top secret.
Yeah. I guess, the phrase toothpaste out of the tube? That cliche of the genie's out of the bottle. I think that's what's going on with this scandal a bit too, which is, okay, maybe you don't think this is the reason why all of a sudden Michigan had this resurgence 3 years ago when this sign stealing thing allegedly started. Okay, maybe you want to dismiss that, poo-poo it. The facts are there. They have gotten much better over the last 3 years, but that could be a lot of factors.
Well, it definitely was a lot of factors.
Okay. But now, like, the scandal's out there, and you already had the coach deny any knowledge of it. What are we going to find out subsequently that's going to make Jim Harbaugh and Michigan look bad? Because I think that's coming. Now, I don't know, but I think that's coming because I think it's hard for him to say I didn't know. And even if he lie detector test, hand to God, did not know, you can always come back with, well, you should have known because you're the king in this fiefdom here. Like, college coaches are expected to know what's going on in the program.
But I think that's reserved for bad behavior. I think we say should have known when you didn't realize that something untoward was happening in the locker room.
Hazing scandal.
Yeah, like the hazing scandal, or even worse. There was a lot of, I think
Penn
that
State.
was,
Yeah.
and Baylor, I think about. Art Briles says he was not directly linked to a lot of things that happened there. And, there's probably no excuse in those situations. You should have known about this. I think he did know. I have no problem admitting that. But again, I'm willing to overlook all that. I just cannot raise this to the level of a serious rule breaking that's going to cost them a title or get an asterisk or keep them out of the Big Ten title game. This is way too minor of an infraction because not everybody's going to follow all the rules. There's cheating all over the place. There's some level of cheating, and not all cheating is the same. You can't just say, just because you cheated, it all doesn't count.
I think the timing of this is very interesting because if this guy Connor Stallions has been going to all these games for 3 years, somebody had to be tipped off, right? Like long before this. Now the NCAA is investigating and that's how the reporters get the leak. But is there a coincidence that Michigan might be the best team in college football and now this is coming out to make them look bad? Do you think that there was an agenda, not by the NCAA, but is there something to the timing here? Like if Michigan wasn't doing as well, nobody would care about this. The fact that they could be the best team in the country and have their best shot at a national title in years.
Well, why not last year, though?
Yeah, no, they were good. They were a very good team
They were number
last year.
2 last year as
I
well.
know.
They're number 2 now.
I don't know. It feels like maybe they
so,
just needed more
Have you guys seen
investigating.
it? There's a Tennessee message board that had the whole thing last year because apparently, did you read the story that they were scouting Tennessee?
Just in case.
Yeah, they were scouting which made me think, oh my gosh, they actually thought Tennessee was going to get to the Final Four. They were scouting all their Final Four opponents.
This is right after the Alabama game.
Yeah, before Hendon Hooker got hurt. I just thought that was funny. What an honor to Tennessee that they had Connor Stallions in the crowd. I think if you're a college football program, and they were going way out of the Big Ten. So I agree with you. I think everyone knows this. Of course, there's a lot of stories now that everyone knew about Clemson, and people had publicly complained about Clemson doing this. I just think that it's just much like Spygate. Spygate, he did break a rule, right? But every team is doing some version of looking at the other signs. Like, you have to. I want my team, if there's a guy on the sideline giving signs and it's a run play, yeah, you got to work on figuring that out. You should stay within the rules, but I'm not going to take away a season because of this.
Well, you might not take away a season, but there could be an asterisk on it. What's interesting about Spygate, the only reason why we knew about that is because one of Belichick's former coaches turned on him.
Right. And Connor Stallions, a former Marine, he's never going to turn on Jim Harbaugh. You're not going to break that dude. You think the NCAA can bring him into a room and get any information out of him? Connor Stallions?
No way. That guy's a vault.
Can you see Mark Emmert trying to interview Connor Stallions?
It's not Mark Emmert anymore. I don't know. I don't remember who the guy is.
What is Mark Emmert doing?
Probably on a beach somewhere, counting all his money that he fleeced.
Another stick up man.
Yeah.
Him and Max Scherzer, they should be buddies.
They vacation together.
Will there be and should there be some kind of asterisk here on the Michigan season? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. And of course, the great debate question today, which we do on Wednesdays, mark your calendars. The greatest short athletes of all time, greatest undersized athletes of all time. You're welcome to weigh in. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You got to think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Coming back, we've got Jerry Jones, his comments on what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do at the trade deadline. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, we're back here on Maggie and Perloff. The debate today, greatest short athlete of all time, started out with Jose Altuve, a big home run. Definitely in the conversation. We're getting a lot on social media. You can find us at Maggie and Perl. A lot of people are going to Barry Sanders like I did, getting a lot of Simone Biles, a lot of Spud and Muggsy Bogues. People are disappointed in you, Maggie, for not going former Buffalo Bills quarterback Doug Flutie. How could you not put him in there?
Well, he's 5'10". That is small.
But at the time, there were no short quarterbacks.
That's true. And Flutie holds a lot of those records of just for short quarterbacks, and that came up a lot with Bryce Young being in the draft process this year. But so here's the thing about Simone Biles. Yeah, Simone Biles like 4'8" or something, but being a short gymnast isn't a detriment. It could be a help. You're flying through the air. You can't be big. So I can't put her on the list. Jose Altuve is overcoming his height to be a great player, right? Like Muggsy and Bogues and Spud Webbs, they're overcoming their height to be great
There
players.
is an advantage of being a short baseball player. You have a small strike zone. He's compact. Like Jose Altuve, I don't know that it's overcoming. It feels like it's kind of a solid little format he's got going there.
What about
just so much
defensively?
power.
He's a Gold Glover. Defensively, you have no range of motion.
Again, all second basemen are short. Somebody sent me Freddie Patek. Now, I vaguely remember he's an incredibly short second base. Joe Morgan, 5'7" at second base. That's where you stick the short kid at second base. And you stick the slow kid in right field. And I know that because I was that kid.
Let's get to our Cowboy Quickie. Check in on Jerry Jones. All right, Jerry was on 105.3 The Fan, of course. And he was asked about trade opportunities at the trade deadline. He said, hold on, you're going to have to call us.
It'll have to come our way. I don't want to preclude it in any way, but it always does. You have a lot of machinations that you're working with every day. I do. But the initiation of an opportunity to make a trade at this time that would help us principally has to start over on the other end.
Wait, there are two words there I'm confused on.
Okay,
the machinations, and what was that second word that was 3 syllables?
I don't know.
The officiation? What?
Okay, the
initiation, I believe.
Oh, initiation.
Yes. Basically, what's the short of it is, if you want to make a trade with the Cowboys, you got to call us. We're not out there working the phones. We're not out there trying to scour everybody's roster to get better. I guess you say that to keep peace in your locker room?
Whatever. That's
I don't
insane.
know.
I mean, Cowboys fans are furious because right across the division, Eagles GM Howie Roseman is on the phone as we speak trying to make another trade. He is the trading king of the NFL now. And the other great team for years, the Patriots made a lot of trades. Good teams make trades. I don't know why Jerry is laying back. The Cowboys are a really good team, but clearly they could use some help in different areas.
Well, definitely. I mean, even though Bland has done a good job, you lost Trey Diggs the whole season.
It's going to be hard. Everybody wants a cornerback.
Everyone wants a corner.
So, but listen, if the Cowboys are looking at maybe DeAndre Hopkins to add another target for Dak Prescott, I was thinking Derrick Henry because they've had some red zone issues with running back. They miss Ezekiel Elliott there. I think they'd have to pay too much for Derrick Henry. The funny thing about Jerry Jones is he talks a big game. He doesn't really make flashy moves, right? Like he didn't draft Johnny. We said he wanted to draft Johnny Manziel. He never did that. he often takes a smart, gets a lot of interior linemen in the draft. He's not really that flashy move guy that we think he is.
I always just assume that they throw the real Jerry Jones into a closet on draft day, and whoever we're seeing is some kind of fake, I don't know, must be some kind of CGI.
Yeah, he
hologram.
keeps his coaches for way too long. He's actually incredibly cautious when we think of him as this wheeler dealer.
I looked up because I was curious about Dallas Cowboy trade deadline moves, and one of the ones they've done in recent memory, I had to go back. I want to say it was 2006. Remember Roy Williams, the wide receiver from the Detroit Lions? They gave him a first and a third, I think, for him, and that turned out terribly.
When was that? That must have been 18 years ago.
I think it was 2006.
Wait, was Amari Cooper not a trade deadline acquisition? Was that an offseason acquisition?
I thought that was offseason.
I think that was offseason.
It must have been offseason.
I think it was offseason. And by the way, that is the worst move in 10 years. I know there's been
trading
bad
for him.
No, losing Amari Cooper.
Well, losing him, but remember they traded a first-round pick
they traded
him from the Raiders.
Right. Oh, Raiders, yeah. But letting him go has affected everything the Cowboys have done. And I think Amari Cooper's kind of wasted in Cleveland, who can't throw the ball. I think he's a really good player. Couldn't they use an Amari Cooper? Give me Amari Cooper on Dallas. It'd be a completely different team.
That's your Cowboy Quickie for today.
We got to get into later of the week, by the way. I know you're dying to know if the Bills are out there working the phones. You want your team to be working the phones, right?
They better be.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what. I have nothing to threaten them with. Like, you better trade for someone or else. Like, I don't know. How about just Von Miller? Can he play? I don't know.
Now, Amari Cooper was in season. That was an in
to
season.
Dallas with Oakland, right? But when he went to Cleveland, was that
was an off-season?
That was
off-season, right?
But do you remember at the end with Amari Cooper? It was weird with Jason Garrett. Like, he was not on the field for like crucial third
Yeah, they
downs.
didn't use him well in that season. They brought him in.
It was weird. Okay. Again, if you want to weigh in on our great debate series, greatest short athlete ever, greatest undersized athlete, 855-212-4CBS. We get some headlines this morning with Andrew Bogish.
And just in case you're only waking up right now. Jinx is complete.
We did it.
We were led to believe the Phillies were invincible at the bank, but then the D-backs pulled off the ultimate heist, taking games 6 and 7 of the NLCS. They scored twice in the 5th last night to take the lead for good. Rookie Brandon Pfaadt K'd 7 over 4, then 5 relievers allowed just 1 hit and 2 walks over 5. Paul Sewald notching save number 6 for a 4-2 W. Corbin Carroll on catching the final out, or a tip for your love life.
Better squeeze it.
The Phillies didn't lose at home in these playoffs until these last 2 games. I can't believe Bryce Harper let Perloff down.
We weren't able to close the door. We had a commanding lead in that series, and tossed some games in Arizona, and then these last 2 days, they outplayed us, and especially at home, that's a tough feeling.
Now, some of you might have heard that our beloved Christopher Mad Dog Russo actually believed in these Phillies, unlike my friend to the right. Doggy's so confident he promised to retire from radio immediately if the D-backs did what they just did, winning these last 2 games to take the series. And those Diamondbacks heard him. Mad Dog! Mad Dog! Mad Dog! Mad Dog! Mad Dog! Mad Dog! That is from their clubhouse last night.
Now, let's be clear. I'm sure, or I would venture to guess, absolutely none of those players know him from Mike and the Mad Dog. They know him from MLB Network.
Correct.
Okay.
Or even First Take.
Or
First Take, right.
Yeah.
Yes. Russo's kept himself relevant. There's no chance those guys were listening to WFAN. They're all too young.
He's more relevant now because of First Take than I seem to remember 10 years ago nationally. I don't think people knew who he was. By the way, did you guys see you have to verify this, the latest story that he negotiated a deal about continuing his career? He said he was going to retire from radio if the Diamondbacks won, right?
Yeah.
That Howard Stern and him just negotiated a deal on air. Bogus, you got to check this. I don't know if this
on
is true.
Howard this morning.
That's what I saw on Twitter. I don't know if it's
still
true.
doing radio?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're both at Sirius, right?
Yeah,
So
but I thought Howard's doing like twice a month.
we got to verify this before I put it out there, but there might be a very funny punishment that they negotiated down because we knew he wasn't going to retire from radio. When a guy says that, there's no way that's true.
Also, this dude, it's like oxygen. Like, we like doing this and love doing this for a living. He needs to do it.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you guys, he's supposed to walk around the city in underwear with a sign saying, I am and I can't say what the word is.
Is it something?
Starts with a D. I don't know if it's a curse word. And Howard Stern is definitely not, but for us...
Is it a body part?
No.
Is it, does it rhyme with smoosh?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think you say that.
I think you could say it.
Well.
No, I'm not going to test it.
I don't think so.
So here, this is a deep dive into WFAN, CBS Sports Radio, Odyssey, Entercom, whatever we've been called.
Yeah.
Our former boss, Mark Chernoff, had a rule about that. That word is often connected to the word bag.
Yes.
And his rule was, you can say one or the other, but you can't say them together. Somehow that was logical in his brain.
That's leadership.
Right?
That's someone who's at the wheel, not letting this thing crash into an iceberg.
But, okay.
Back to me?
Why would you say the second word alone? That doesn't make any sense.
Because
you could do the letter and then
okay,
bag.
the letter and okay, got it.
I think also, too, the way you delivered it, people knew what you meant if you just called somebody a bag. They got the gist of that statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, I've never called anyone that.
Well, you're a nice guy.
You are a nice guy.
Hey, you're a bag? That would be like, would people be like, what?
Well, Again, these were his rules.
Use the letter.
Yeah.
Use the letter.
Game 1 of the World Series BTW with the Rangers at their ballpark on Friday night. There are worse ways to start a new NBA season.
Booker gets open again, doesn't shoot it. Scoops the ball to Okogie left block, gets it back. Booker another open three on the way. That one's good. Devin Booker over 30 for the second time in a season opening game. He joins Charles Barkley as the only Suns to do that more than once in their career. 100-96, Suns up 4.
That's from Suns Radio. Devin Booker, 32, 8 assists in a 108-104 win on the Warriors floor. Kevin Durant scoring 18 in his first game in the Bay Area since leaving the Dubs after the 2019 finals. The NBA's opening night beginning with the Nuggets raising their championship banner, then downing the Lakers 119-107 behind the latest Nikola Jokic triple-double, 29 points, 13 boards, and 11 assists.
Wait, didn't the Lakers say this was personal because the Nuggets talked some smack after they swept them?
And the fans last night chanted, "Who's your daddy?" at the end of the game, which is what Mike Malone had said.
Oh, at the parade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Titans head coach Mike Vrabel said Will Levis and Malik Willis would play Sunday against the Falcons if Ryan Tannehill and his high ankle sprain were out. This morning, reports say Levis would get the start if necessary. Broncos safety Kareem Jackson's 4-game suspension cut to 2 on appeal, and Cardinals tight end Zach Ertz is on IR with a quad strain. Army football only reportedly joining Navy in the American Athletic Conference next season. Previous reports about this possible move had said the Army-Navy game would remain a non-conference affair in the same spot on the calendar. We had every hockey team in action last night. The Golden Knights scored in the final minute to beat the Flyers 3-2. They are 7-0, the best start ever for a Cup champ. Ryan Hartman, 3 goals, 2 assists in Minnesota's 7-4 win over the Oilers. And Jack Hughes, 4 assists in the Devils' 5-2 win in Montreal. I can't tell you the amount of TV and radio calls that I've gone through in 3.5 hours. And all I got was bring on the funnel cakes.
Which was great.
We'll take it.
We'll take it, but the NHL let us down last night. Great night for the league, all these games, fun games, individual efforts, but nobody got naughty on radio or TV. Shame on them.
Man, is our new segment, Sexually Suggestive Hockey Highlights, going to end as quickly as it started?
Grand opening, grand closing.
It just might not be a daily segment. Maybe bi-weekly.
Listen, more funnel cakes. I'll just take that.
Bring on the funnel cake is great. If it involves actual funnel cake, even better.
If we, to be honest, if we put the poll up, what would you rather have, a funnel cake or sex? I bet it's close to 50.
Yeah. Depends how old you are.
Yeah.
Wait, let me ask about, isn't there something salmon related for the Kraken? I still don't get the connection.
There is no connection.
Yeah.
That's the connection.
It's brilliant. Andrew Bogusch, thank you so much for those headlines. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. Well, today's shot of the day, a little snapshot of the show, comes from earlier when we all celebrated Perloff's Phillies going down.
Guys, we did it. Our excuse-making friends never saw it coming. We were jinxing his Phillies the entire time.
So let me ask you guys, are you guys feeling real joy about this?
I feel like relief.
Yeah. Really? Yeah.
It worked also. See, this is what happens when you get a certain number of us Mets fans in one room. We can really just vibe. We can bad vibe our way into anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just put all the stink on you, and then first ever Game 7 in the history of the franchise, taking a big L.
Disappointed in you guys. You're journalists. You should be above this.
We're not. Another thing that I realized about our show, we're not the best dancers.
No.
Now, granted, I'm in a chair.
Yeah.
We look like a bad wedding.
You guys are lucky I wasn't dancing, 'cause I'll bring that mean down even worse.
That was a YouTube, Twitch only delight.
You guys made me work for it, too, because you see, I was trying to reverse jinx by talking about how bad the Phillies were every day. Honestly, I was sweating every time Bogus walked
last
in.
week the whole time about that.
Yeah, Carlos, you knew what I was trying to do, but I couldn't. You guys were too powerful. It was 4 jinxers against 1 jinxer. I had no chance.
No, you're not going to stand a chance. 855-212. Thank you, Bogus. 855-212-4227. Okay, so keep it coming on the great debate series, which is greatest short athletes of all time, greatest undersized athletes. We will get to you. We promise. Coming up next, one of the unanswerable questions about the NFL gets answered. We'll do that in a minute. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. We're getting into our great debate series for today, which is the greatest short athletes of all time, the greatest undersized athletes of all time. I went with Jose Altuve, Perloff.
I went with the great Barry Sanders.
EJ went with Nate Robinson. He's on the phone. I'll do that for him. Carlos.
Diego Maradona.
We've gotten a lot of great calls and a lot of great tweets, people writing in. Lionel Messi seems to be the one that's kind of standing up above everybody else.
There's a lot of Simone Biles, too.
That's true. But again, you have to be short to do gymnastics.
Yeah.
You can't be tall. Like, if you're 5'1", you're kicking you out of the sport.
I think that Messi and Simone Biles have this GOAT thing going that helps them. By the way, there's one caller I'm dying to get to. Tom in Harrisburg. He's speaking my language.
Let's do this. Tom, good morning. How you doing?
Okay.
What do you have for us?
Can I have two or just one?
Two if you make it quick.
Okay, Fran Tarkington, 5'10", quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, and Nolan Smith, super nat for the Kansas City Chiefs, 5'6". He's a kick returner and a wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs in his 60s.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the awesome Nolan Smith, former Georgia defensive end, who had his first sack on Sunday. I thought we were celebrating another great Eagles. I didn't know there was a guy from the 60s.
Yeah, Nolan Smith, he's called a super nat for the kick returner for the Kansas City Chiefs, 5'6".
Tom, thank you for that. It was funny. I saw Nolan Smith, and I'm like, all right, I know two Nolan Smiths. I know the linebacker from Georgia, and I know the former player from Duke, and neither of them are short.
Well, I first Googled the Duke player because I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, he's talking about Nolan Smith is slightly undersized for an edge rusher, but he took down Tua. He looks good.
Let's go to Brandon. He's in Topeka. Good morning, Brandon. How are you?
Hey, Maggie. Hey, Pearl. How you guys doing today?
Great, buddy.
Good. Just wanted to say hello to all the Weedos and the coffee drinkers.
Hey, there we go.
I know we're coming up on the end of the show, but if I could go through here real quickly, I wanted to go back a little bit.
Okay.
So I know you guys were talking about, is it appropriate to cheer for the team that beat you?
Oh, yeah.
I would say in most part, yes, you do want to cheer for that team that did beat yours. In the case of like the Astros, right? The Astros, they're in our division, they're in our conference. That's not appropriate. I'm not going to cheer for the Rangers. I grew up in Houston, right? But I went to Kansas State, right? I'm in Kansas, so I love that you guys are mentioning Altuve, Darren Sproles, super awesome. When I grew up, honorable mention was Craig Biggio. Love Craig Biggio. But the one that I really called, and I spoke to EJ about, he was a Heisman Trophy winner and also played in the NBA, Mr. Florida State, Charlie Ward.
Man.
Was awesome.
Yeah, but he's not that short.
He's not that short. He's not that short.
He's short for a quarterback, but he's not even that short. Remember, he was at NBA. He was okay.
So he's listed at 6'2". That's
he's
on
not
the
6'2".
internet. I
He's
don't
not
think
6'2".
any of us who know Charlie Ward, he's not 6'2", Brandon. Excellent call. Great to
But
hear from an all-time Weedo.
Anytime you bring up Charlie Ward, he is the greatest. I'm such a huge fan. In this day and age, he would have gone to the NFL and been a 10-time All-Pro, but then they did not like short quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of a debate now. It's a lot more acceptable, but...
Well, Caleb's short. He's listed at 6'1". I'm not sure he's an inch over 6 feet tall. Bryce Young just went number one.
Yep.
He's, 5'10" and a half at the combine?
Something like that. So, okay, you've got... Yeah, Charlie Ward is an interesting one. I had not gotten that. We got a couple other, like Yogi Berra, Wes Welker, David Eckstein, a couple boxers, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. So keep them coming. with the great debate series. Do we quickly have a moment here to do a little Aaron Rodgers, or do we not? Because we're trying to fit this in before MIKE Sando of The Athletic joins us till the end of the show. Can we hit a little Rodgers? Let's do it.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Rodgers, yesterday on the Pat McAfee Show doing his weekly appearance, this was as down as he's been about his Achilles rehab. He was talking about how tough of a week this has been, and the gains he's seeing are just getting smaller.
Yeah, it's been a tough week of rehab. It's been kind of smaller gains. I think when you get to a certain point, you're not maybe having the jumps that I did early on, where you're out of a cast and you're out of a boot and then you're in a shoe and you're up in the percentage in the Alter G. It's been more of a grind the last week or so.
So Rodgers has been pretty positive on this thing and maintaining that the goal is come back this season. And this was the first time he's like, well, this was a tough week.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're monitoring this week to week, we noticed.
I think he pulled it back a little bit. And actually last week he did say something like, all right, calm down a little bit, everyone. It just feels farther away to me. It feels less likely, more remote that he'll come back. And I keep coming back to the same thing. If the Jets are good enough to be in playoff position and need Aaron Rodgers, that means Zach Wilson has done enough to get you there.
Yeah, I guess the only thing, though, is if Zach Wilson is good enough to get you there, how much better would Rodgers be? Even a hobbled Rodgers would be better than Wilson.
How much better, though, because you have to move in this day and age, especially with that line. Zach Wilson can at least scramble once in a while, so maybe that evens it out a little bit. Now, I'm not saying Zach Wilson's anywhere near the quarterback, but that mobility gives him a little edge.
Yeah, but he uses that mobility, gets out of the pocket, and throws a pick.
Yeah, he did, but he had a couple. I think he had one big first down against the Eagles with his legs. Aaron Rodgers is not doing that now.
Well, that is definitely true. We go back to the phones, our great debate series. Tony is in Toronto's got a good one. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Kirby Puckett, 5'6".
Is he really?
Was he 5'6", Kirby Puckett?
No. That can't be.
He's listed as 5'8", but maybe he was 5'6".
Wow.
5'6" is Jose Altuve. Do we think he was as small as Jose Altuve? I don't know. Tony, thank you so
that's
much.
remarkable to me that he's that short. He belongs on that list 100%.
How much did he weigh?
I remember
what was
when
his playing weight, Kirby Puckett?
His famous play, of course, he was jumping up on the fence in the World Series. I had no idea he was that short.
Yeah, me neither. But Kirby Puckett, obviously, incredible. I mean, was he 178 pounds? Okay.
Kirby, no way.
Yeah, I was like, that seems low, too.
No, that is not factually true.
That is according to Baseball Reference, says EJ. He doesn't look like 178 pounds. Looks a little bit bigger. But again, it's TV. The camera adds a couple pounds.
To really be in this, you need to stand a short player against a 7-footer. Like the NBA pictures are undefeated.
Yeah, if you want to look at some of those, we have them, and we can keep the conversation going on our Twitter feed, which is at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. I've got a dilemma for you.
Yeah. Believe me, I was going to ask you, how do I get over this Phillies thing? But your dilemma took my mind off it, and I think you should share it.
Okay, so this is an interesting one that came across the desk here. And the question is, so if you happen upon some tickets to a sporting event.
You're given tickets.
Then you start doling them out. So say you get 4 tickets, so it's yourself and you get to invite 3 friends or 3, whoever. And then let's say one of those people decides they can't go. Does that person reserve the right to give the ticket to someone else, or do you have to give it back to the original person who had the ticket to give it out?
No brainer. You have to give it back to the original person.
Okay, here's the caveat. What if it's all the same friend group?
Still.
So it's like, all right, Billy can't go, but you can just give it to Sam, and now Sam can go. Like, hey, I hope you don't mind, Dale. I gave it to Sam.
No, because then you're gaining the favor of gifting a present that was a gift to you in the first place. The original ticket holder deserves the right to do that.
Okay, I generally agree with you, but I think if it's within the same friend group, I kind of get where the person's talking about. Like if all of us as a show, say the 4 of us who are in these 2 rooms, we're going to a game. And all of a sudden, and you had the tickets, Perloff. And I was like, well, I can't go now. I'm just going to give it to Bogish. Like, you wouldn't care. because we're all part of the same show. So it'd be obvious I'd give it to Bogusch.
No. First of all, I'm mad at Bogusch, so that would be a problem right there. No, I even that, because then you're getting a little like, hey, you could bring back Bogusch. Remember, I gave you those tickets, but you didn't really give him those tickets because they weren't your tickets to give. That's almost the same as scalping the tickets.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so that was one thing I wanted to make clear. The other one today, we had a lot of questions on the table. When your team loses, like Perloff's team lost last night to the Diamondbacks, do you hope that team goes on and wins the title?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd rather lose to the eventual champs. I think there's a little bit more honor in losing to the champs, right? It's like, well, we didn't win, but we lost to the eventual champs. What were we supposed to do?
Honestly, you're going to think I'm just trying to make myself feel better. I gained a lot of respect for the Diamondbacks. I was like, I know they only won 84 games, but that's a really good baseball team. And probably a little better than the Phillies. I'm not sure the better team lost in that series. And I can say that. So I think I'm trying to make myself feel better because I need something here. I need something here to lift the spirits.
Don't worry. You got Eagles Commanders, I believe, this weekend.
People in Philly were already saying yesterday, well, we did get the Kevin Byard trade.
You guys will do anything to make yourself feel better.
I was actually wondering tonight. So I've had this double dip of baseball and football to entertain me. We all have.
Yeah.
So it's a Wednesday night. And I was depressed. I'm like, oh, there's no football game tonight. I'm not going to be able to watch the Phillies anymore. But I found a solution. The Wemby bet begins tonight. Victor Wembanyama's debut. It's at 9 o'clock, so it's not too late. I think this is one of the must-watch things in the NBA. And for us, it's got even more stakes because it's getting serious now, Maggie.
Well, I mean, really serious. You're looking at a 27-hour car ride to San Antonio if he wins Rookie of the Year. I feel like we're on the edge of our seat with every game he's in.
It's unbelievable. It gave us a reason to watch the Spurs. He's got to get to 65 games to meet the threshold to win an award. I still maintain the preseason, there was a little bit of extra hype. We saw these highlights of every made shot. I'm like, oh, man, he must be shooting 80% from the field. No, he misses shots too. And it's going to be different in the regular season.
No, he's already getting the Michael Jordan treatment where the highlights, it's only about the highlights.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, if you ask anyone who didn't see, never missed a shot in his life.
That was a pro LeBron comment. Get out of here. Michael Jordan never did miss a shot.
Yes, John is in Boise. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning, guys.
You have a thought on if your team loses, would you want them to go on? Would you want that team that beat you to go on to win a title?
Oh, of course. I'm like a diehard Packers fan, and I will never root for the AFC in a Super Bowl. It's NFC all the way, all the time. Even if it's an NFC North team. Like if the Lions go this year, I am a diehard Lions fan in the Super Bowl.
What,
so,
John?
Yeah, I mean, I am NFC. I am conference loyal.
What is this, the SEC? I've never heard of this in football, that you'd be loyal to your division.
Oh, yeah. It's like if the Lions beat the Packers, and they go on and they go to the playoffs in the Super Bowl, of course I'm going to root for the Lions. They're out of my division,
Oh,
NFC
wow.
North all the way.
John, that's amazing. You should start doing merch or something NFC North.
I almost threw up out back here, by the way.
There's no teams that I despise more than the ones in the division of the team I root for. I know them the best. You have the most history with them.
Yep. I'm an Eagles fan. I root against the Cowboys.
Yeah, you're a Prescott fan, though. Different.
No, the other thing, I had a very close friend who worked for the Cowboys, so I was kind of rooting for. I'm also a fraud.
I've never heard of that before. Be like, no, I'm just an AFC North fan.
There is a logic there because I'm rooting for the Diamondbacks now that they beat the Phillies. It just sort of elevates your own team.
But you'd never root for the Braves or the Mets.
Yes, I would root against them 100%.
Exactly. Like the NL East, the Marlins, nobody would. That's random.
I could get maybe rooting for the NFC because it's so general. It's better if your conference wins. No, I don't know.
Quickly, Jeremy's in South Carolina has got an answer for our great debate question, the greatest short athletes. But I like that it takes a lot of people to make the world go around. Jeremy, what's up?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
What about Earl Boykins from Eastern Michigan University?
Love.
Took him to the Sweet 16.
Jeremy, awesome. We mentioned Boykins, but I'm glad you brought up his college resume because you're right. That deserves to be in there. And he was excellent. He was listed at 5'5", I believe.
Yeah, he had a very, very long NBA career. I'm seeing about 15 years in the NBA. averaged 8.9 points. He was a real player. He had an impact. It wasn't just sort of an aberration being 5'4". He helped that team a lot.
I remember getting a chance to interview Earl Boykins in a locker room. I believe he was playing for the...
Probably the Nuggets?
I was going to say the Nuggets at the time. And, him talking about his height, which I'm sure he got asked about in every city he went to, but saying how it's just impossible for other teams to scout him. Like, there's just no way that in practice you're going to be able to, game plan for me. So I'm a change of pace guy, and good luck.
Yeah, you almost have to bring someone off the street, but you don't have a practice player who's 5'4".
Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Carlos Ortiz. Thank you to Andrew Bogish and Andrew Kaplan. Guido's coffee drinkers, callers, you guys were awesome today. Thank you so, so much. We will see you tomorrow. Peace.